All right, so in this video, y'all, me and brother Yahowyada, we're gonna do a video on false prophets and how you can know or how you can tell who they are. And this is something that I've been thinking about for a while. So I thought it was important that me and Yahoo get in here together and just put out some information, and I give additional information that I don't think he went into yet from two additional books, um, King James of Demonology and the Didache, or the Didache as people pronounce it. And even brother Yahoo is going to get some information from the Clementine homilies and the Nazarene. How you say it, Doug?
Nazarene Acts of the Apostles, or what's called the Recognitions. Yes, sir.
Okay. And we'll probably get some additional information in the Old and New Testament, and wherever we can find some information and whatever we get in this video. But real quick, we're going to try to share this link to this live with Facebook and whatever social media sites we can real quick. So give us a moment, and I'm going to try to get this link for us real quick.
All right, what now? Now, while we're waiting, you want me to go ahead and start, or what? While we're waiting?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, try
okay.
to.
All right, well, peace and blessings, fam. It's your boy, Yahowyada Vinyas, also known as Brother D. Peace and blessings, greetings. I want to thank my brother Yahowyada for allowing me to come on and share this topic. I think it's a good topic because it gives us the opportunity to know the difference between, what are we listening to, what are we hearing, how do we know if it's of the Most High, how do we know it's just not from somebody off to the side, off to the left, to the right, how do we stay valid and validated, and assured, have an assurance of what it is that we know is from the Most High and what is not from somebody's own mind and somebody's own feelings. And so we were going to do this topic to give us an ability to understand, to know how to differentiate between the two, because as him and I have talked before, many people have made prophecies that never came true. People have said things and interacted in ways where it sounds good, but when it doesn't come to pass, now it has you wonder, now what's up with that? Now this person prophesied of something that didn't come to pass. And the question we would ask is, does the Most High lie? No, he does not. Does the Most High speak against himself? No, he does not. So anyhow, without any further ado, I'm going to read from the Clementine homilies, okay? Just show my reference up here, okay? The Clementine homilies, I'm on page 62, okay? Oh, I was page 61, okay? Let me see if I can put it in, I don't know if they can see it in the chat. Maybe I'll do it another time, okay? It says, the distinction between prediction and prophecy. I'm in book, what is this? Let me give you my reference. I'm in book 3. I'm in chapter 11. This is the Clementine homilies, also known as the Journeys of Peter. It says, the distinction between prediction and prophecy, okay? Whence it must, before all things be known, that nowhere can truth be found unless from a prophet of truth, right? Or Navi Emet. But he is a true prophet who always knows all things, and even the thoughts of all men. Of course, we know this talking about the Messiah, who is without sin, as being convinced respecting the judgments of Elohim, or who we refer to as God. Wherefore, we ought not simply to consider respecting his foreknowledge, but whether his foreknowledge can stand apart from other cause. For physicians predict certain things, having the pulse of the patient as matter submitted to them, and some predict by means of having fowls or birds, and some having sacrifices, and others by having many various matters submitted to them. Yet these are not prophets. Now this one says the same. I want you guys to hear this. Chapter 22, okay? Book 3, chapter 22. But if anyone should say that the foreknowledge shown by these predictions is like to that foreknowledge which is really implanted, he will much deceive, for he only declares such things as being present. And that, if he speaks truth, however, even these things are serviceable to me, for they establish that there is a such thing as foreknowledge. That's a marker, okay? Foreknowledge, remember, know the difference, right? But the foreknowledge of the true prophet does not only know things present, but stretches out prophecy without limit as far as the world to come, and needs nothing for its interpretation, not prophesying darkly, or ambiguously, so that these things spoken would need another prophet for interpretation of them, but clearly and simply, as our master, we're talking about Yahushua, who we refer to as the Messiah, and prophet by the inborn and ever-flowing Ruach, always knew all things. Okay, remember, we're talking about the same. Next, chapter 23, and I'm going to end it at what, 24? Okay, or maybe 25. Okay, it's only a paragraph long, so bear with me, please. It says, wherefore, he confidently, we're talking about the Messiah, wherefore he confidently made statements respecting things that are to be. I mean, sufferings, places, limits, for being a faultless prophet and looking upon all things with the boundless eye of the soul. He knows hidden things. But if we should, as many do, that even the true prophet, not always, but sometimes, when he has the Spirit, and through it foreknows, but when he has it not, is ignorant. If we should suppose thus, we should deceive ourselves and mislead others, for such a matter belongs to those who are madly inspired by the spirit of disorder, to those who are drunken beside the altars and are gorged with fat. Now, I want you guys to hear how it says the prophetic spirit is constant, okay? And understanding the difference between prophecy and prediction. It reads, for if it were permitted to anyone who will profess prophecy to have it believed in the cases in which he was found false, that then he had not the Holy Spirit of foreknowledge, it will be difficult to convict him of being a false prophet. For among the many things that he speaks, a few come to pass, and then he is believed to have had the Spirit or the Ruach, although he speaks the first things last, and the last things first, speaks of the past events as future, and future as already past, and also without sequence or things borrowed from others and altered, and some that are lessened, unformed, foolish, ambiguous, unseemly, obscure, proclaiming unconscientiousness. Okay, I'm going to go into the last one called the Messiah's prophecy. All right, it's the last one of this particular segment. And it reads, I'm in book 3, chapter 15, excuse me, the Messiah's prophecies. Okay, what did I say? I said 20 last time? 11. It was, I just read 11, 12, 13, 14, excuse me, and this one is 15 in book 3 of the Clementine Homilies. It says Christ's prophecy. But our master did not prophesy after this fashion, but as I have already said, being a prophet by an inborn and ever-flowing spirit, and knowing all things at all times, he confidently set forth, plainly as I have said before, sufferings, places, appointed times, manners, limits. Accordingly, therefore, prophesying concerning the temple, he said, see these buildings? Verily I say unto you, there shall not left be one stone upon another which shall not be taken away. This generation shall not pass until the destruction begin. For they shall come and shall sit here and shall besiege it and shall slay your children here. Now look at that. It says Matthew 24 verses 2 through 3. Now remember, what they're reading from that day sounds different than what we have now. Almost done. And in like manner, he spoke in plain words the things that were straightway to happen, which we can now see with our eyes, in order that the accomplishment might be among those to whom the word was spoken. For the prophet of truth utters the word of proof in order to the faith of his hearers. So if we understood that, the Messiah was prophesying from the scriptures. And we know from the scriptures, it says in Deuteronomy, by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses shall every matter be established. Okay? And so we know that basically if someone claims to be a true prophet, they almost always have to have a second and a third witness to testify, as when the Messiah would prophesy and say the things he was prophesying from a lot of the prophets, basically, using testimonial witnesses from the prophets and also from the Tanakh as well to determine what is true prophecy and what is divining. And so people may not know the difference. Are you ready there, Brother Yahowyada? Or you still getting it together?
You said, have I read that? Or
are you still getting it together? Do you want me to keep reading while you get it together?
I got the link. I sent it in the comments, by the way, but you was reading and stuff, so I was like, I'll just send it in the link. Okay. So if you look at the second link where it says it's like YouTube, and right under it, I say shareable link. That's the one.
Okay, shareable link. That one.
Yeah, the one right above it where it says YouTube. And I also shared it with your group. I think your group is called Wake Up. By the way, y'all, he has a Facebook group called, if I'm right, Doug, you can let me know.
Yeah.
Is it Wake Up Israelites, Family of Yahuda? It's time to rebuild. And I shared it with that group, but if you want to share with them again, you can. I was trying to find one of your groups. I can't remember the other one, so at least I got that one.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want, I can take over and talk a little bit and share some scriptures while you get your sharing on or whatever.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So the topic for people who came in late, once again, is about how to tell or how to know a false prophet. And Brother Yahowyada was sharing some scriptures from the book called, I think it was the Clementine Homilies he was reading from.
Yes.
And now I'll go into something that we didn't get yet. This one's the Did I Cheat? Let me put it in the camera view. Some people pronounce it a Did I K, but I say Did I Cheat because that's how it's spelled to me. But we're going to look at some scriptures in here where it talks about some additional information on false prophets. And this is something that I think about to this day when this topic comes to mind. So let me look for that. The book is not long either. It's a short book. It won't take you long to read, but just to give you a summary of it while I find it, it's the book is about, just to give you how short the book is, that's what I meant. It's like reading the Old and New Testament in a like 20-page book. Like if you can just crumble it down and like condense the Old and New Testament. That's basically what this book is. It has all that in here. It got baptism. It got, did I just see fasting? I don't know if Yep, fasting's in here. It got a lot of things in here. So I think I came to the part where it talks about the false prophet. Let's see. Wait, we thank you heavily. No, that's not the one. Now, whoever come and teach you all these things. Let me just see if this is oh yeah, I think this is Yep, this is. So this is chapter 11 in the Did I Cheat? So this is what it says. Now it doesn't have like verse 1, verse 2, and all that. It's no verses. You got to do that yourself. But this is what it says. It says, now whoever come and teach you all these things before spoken, receive him. But if the teacher himself turn aside and teach another teaching, so as to overthrow this, do not hear him. But if he teach so as to promote righteousness and knowledge of the Lord, receive him as the Lord. But in regard to the apostles and prophets, according to the ordinance of the gospel, so do you. And every apostle who come to you, let him be received as the Lord. But he shall not remain more than one day. If, however, there be need, then the next day. But if he remain 3 days, he is a false prophet. But when the apostle depart, let him take nothing except bread enough till he lodge again. But if he asks money, he is a false prophet. That's one thing that I wanted to get. They are not supposed to be getting paid or asking for money. According to this, they're a false prophet. Now, let's keep going. It says, if he asks money, he is a false prophet. And then it says, and every prophet who speak in the spirit, you shall not try nor judge. For every sin shall be forgiven, but this sin shall not be forgiven. But not everyone that speak in the spirit is a prophet, but only if he have the ways of the Lord. So from their ways shall the prophet and the prophet be known. And no prophet who orders a meal in the spirit eat of it, unless he is a false prophet. And every prophet who teach the truth, if he do not, which he teach, is a false prophet. But every prophet prove true, acting with a view to the mystery of the church on earth, but not teaching others to do all that he himself do, shall not be judged among you. For with God he hath his judgment. For so did the ancient prophets also. But whoever in the spirit says, give me money, or something else, you shall not hear him. But if for others in need he bids you give, let no one judge him. So that's the whole chapter about false prophets in this in that chapter in this book. I think it's a little more. Actually, it is a little bit more. Wow. I think it's 2 more chapters on this. Doug, you want me to go ahead and read that?
Go ahead. Get it in.
Okay, I'll just keep going. This is in the Did I Cheat? This is chapter 11. This is a short chapter, and so is chapter 13. It says, "But let everyone that come in the Lord's name be received. But afterward you shall test and know him." That's a good thing right there. I see someone down there. Oh, okay, I was just checking that notification down there. Somebody that joined in. Okay, it says, "But let everyone that come in the Lord's name be received. But afterward you shall test and know him. For you shall have understanding, right and left. If he who comes is a traveler, help him as much as you can. But he shall not remain with you unless for 2 or 3 days, if there be necessity. But if he will take up his abode among you, being an artisan, let him work and so eat. But if he have no trade, provide according to your understanding, that no idler live with you as a Christian. But if he will not act according to this, he is one who makes gain out of Christ. Beware of such." And this is the last chapter, I believe, that speaks about false prophets. It says, this is chapter 13. It says, "But every true prophet who will settle among you is worthy of his support. Likewise, a true teacher, he also is worthy, like the workman, of his support. Every first fruit, then, of the products of winepress and threshing floor, or oxen, and of sheep, you shall take and give to the prophets, for they are your high priests. But if you have no profit, give it to the poor. If you make a baking of bread, take the first of it and give according to the commandment. In like manner, when you open a jar of wine or oil, take the first of it and give to the prophets. And of money and clothing and every possession, take the first, as seems right to you, and give according to the commandment." So that's, oh, I see you, Doug. Hold on. So that's the chapters in the Didachi about false prophets. All right, Doug, I just finished reading all that for the Didachi.
I like
So you're
that.
good?
I like that. That's solid.
Okay.
Now remember, didn't Daniel do that for Nebuchadnezzar? Didn't Daniel do that when he was like, "I'll give you all the wealth, all the money"? And what did Daniel say? Nah, keep that to yourself. I'm gonna tell you anyway. Didn't he do that to Nebuchadnezzar? Because Nebuchadnezzar was like, "Tell me what this dream means, and I'll put a thing around your neck, and I'll make you the second in the kingdom." And Daniel, remember, he didn't want to prophesy for money. So this is lining up with what you're saying. He didn't want to. Remember, if I'm not mistaken, am I not right in that? Remember when Daniel was like, I don't want your money. Keep your money to yourself, right? Do you remember that?
I don't remember like that specific part, but it might have happened. I just can't remember that part. But we can, if you want, we can try to find it.
I think it was. Let me see. It says in the 5th chapter. It looks like it's the 5th chapter. Let's prove it. The 5th chapter.
Okay.
Because what you're saying is right. No prophet should prophesy for any money. That's on point. That's solid. I like that. That's one good way of knowing, on top of many others. It says Daniel the 5th chapter. I'm looking through my concordance right now.
Okay.
All right. All right. Let's go into chapter 5, verse 8. It says, "Then came the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing nor make known to the interpretation thereof. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his princes were astonished. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his princes, came into the banquet house, and the queen spoke and said, O king, live forever. Let not your thoughts trouble you. Let not your countenance be changed. There is a man in your kingdom in whom is the Ruach Lord." Now remember, I just read it from the Trinity homilies, that a true prophet has the spirit of Elohim, the true prophet of the Most High, and it's the eternal spirit, and it's without end. Prophecy is without end as it comes to the Most High, okay? So right here it says, "So as the Ruach Eloah, and in the days of your father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of Eloah was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, your father, the king, I say your father, the master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldin, and soothsayers." So we know that when people false prophesy, that people have a tendency to want to look and try to find the interpretation of it through magicians, soothsayers, and things like that. That's what the king tried to do, right? Verse 12. For as much as an excellent ruach and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams, and we might get into that later, showing of hard sentences and dissolving of doubts, were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belshazzar, Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. Then was Daniel brought in before the king. And the king spoke and said unto Daniel, Are you that Daniel, which are the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king of my father brought out from Judah? I have heard of you, that you have the Ruach Eloah, or the Spirit of the Most High is in you, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in you. And now wise men and astrologers have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known to me the interpretation of it, but they could not show me the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of you, that you can make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now, if you can read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, you shall be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about your neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. And Daniel answered, what does that say in verse 17, brother Mike? Brother Yahowyada, excuse me, sorry about that. Okay. What does that say in verse 17?
It's cool. It says, let your gifts be to yourself. and give your rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing to the king and make known to him the interpretation. O you king, the Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar, your father, a kingdom and majesty. And okay, so yeah, you were right, Doug. I did catch that, man. Good job. Good job.
So this is a testimonial account of what he said. He didn't want to prophesy for money. No, keep it to yourself. I'm gonna tell you what it says anyway.
Yeah, I like that. I never remembered that, man. That's good. Good you remember that. And we was talking about, I'm glad we're doing this, because we was just talking about me and you off live. We was talking about something like this, and now we've confirmed it through scripture, so everybody can see who hears it. And I watched this video, and I even had the screen up so people can look at the verses. But we was also talking about how in your past, if you want to share the story, you don't have to, but it was some guy, he was like a magician, and he came to you and he was talking about some numbers, and he, it was something weird. I can't tell like you told it, but after you told me that, he was asking you for money. He was asking you for a certain amount of money. And like you just showed in Daniel, because we was talking about this, like, yeah, I know I don't remember anybody in the Bible ever accepting money after like a prophecy that they spoke about, or some sort of word of the Most High. Like if just imagine Ezekiel saying, thus saith the Lord, to whoever was there listening, and then after he say it, can I have some money? Or, he right. For a certain amount of money for telling them that. Like, that's not what they did. Right. They didn't, to my knowledge, that never happened. So it was weird that when you told me this guy asked you for money after he, after that incident. I don't know if you want to share the incident so they'll know. Like,
yeah, I can share it. Basically, I was going to a bank to go visit with my daughter for a certain amount of time, whatever it is. And I stopped off at a bank, and this Indian guy was out there, with the turban on and everything. And he seemed like he was really nice. And he said, my brother, can you please help me? I'm like, what's going on? He said, tell you what, I'll do a favor for you. Let me bless you. And he says, write on this piece of paper. And I wrote on a piece of paper, and he had it in these different areas. Whichever one that you want to circle and write. I said, okay, whatever. And sure enough, at the end of it all, he pulled another piece of paper out of his pocket, and he had showed me that he had already had the answers of what it was that I was going to circle and what it was I was going to write. And it freaked me out. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, how the heck could he have known that? Because it was my first time meeting the man and the first time writing on a piece of paper. But like you said, at the end of it all, he asked me for money. And I had the money, but I needed it for something else. And I told him, I'm sorry, I cannot. He was like, my brother, please help me. Please help me like that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like, it shouldn't be a big deal. I'm like, bro, I can't. And so this kind of goes against what it was we just read, is what he said from the Didache. They shouldn't ask for money. They're supposed to prophesy from the Spirit of the Most High, doing it for truth and for the love of truth and not for the love of money. And so that's one thing that stuck out to me. And I was like, even though that was weird. Now, by the way, that's called divining, fam. Divining is where somebody can say something or know of something in the immediate week or two. But remember, prophecy is something that is supported by the Spirit of the Most High and is eternal and is without end. And it happens exactly according to the prophecy as foretold. And remember, the scripture also says you're going to know of a prophet when he prophesies of something and it comes to pass. But we pay attention, that wasn't really a prophecy, was it? He didn't really prophesy of anything to me, did he? Or did he just do like a wonder? You see what I'm saying? Like a magic. You see what I'm saying? So we have to know the difference, fam. So that was kind of good of what it is my brother Yahowyada was discussing. That's there. I think I did the prophecies of the Messiah. Okay. I want to read, it says 2 kinds of prophecies. Okay? Is it all good if I read this according to the homilies? Or did you want to finish what you were reading?
Oh no, I finished. I'm finished.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. Now, it says, let's go on. It says, now this one here is on page 65 if you have it. If you want to show it to everybody where there's a reading from. You got it.
I wonder if I can put it on the screen for them.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to, if you can.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to read it.
As long as you two don't start tripping out with us, man. Try to have us, start tripping with us.
They should.
Okay.
No music or anything that's copyrighted or something.
All right, now let's go to page 65. If you can show it to them, can you think you can show it to them?
I'm looking it up now. Clementine Homilies, right? Chapter 16.
Let me see. I think it's in book 3.
Oh.
Book 3, chapter 20.
Okay, I'm looking for it.
Yeah, let me know when you get there.
Okay. Oh, I see chapter 3 too. Darn.
It says book 3, chapter 20.
Okay, yeah, the link I hit, it took me to a PDF, so I'm gonna have to find this the long way.
Okay, just take your time. No worries, it's all good. But and so you guys, while he's looking, in this book, otherwise known as the Clementine Homilies, is also referred to as the Journeys of Peter. They call it the pseudo homilies, often because they can't authenticate who the author is. But this goes into the Journeys of Peter, you guys, around the time of Simon Magus of Acts 8. It goes more into detail that he had a debate with a wretch called Simon Magus, and we know the story, Brother Mike. We read some of it, but and he believes he was the standing one. It's in Acts 8, and you go to see some of the wisdom of Peter and the knowledge he had. Remember, he walked with the Messiah for 3.5 years. And so he had to disseminate completely the false doctrine and false worship that they're worshiping of Simon Magus, who he thought was some great one. And now he goes into this long 3-day-long debate where he starts breaking down every aspect of the gospel, the scriptures, the prophecy. Every question that somebody has, Peter was able to answer. He was almost impeccable with his knowledge and understanding of the stars, the false gods, the gods of Egypt, male and female prophecy, things like that. Remember, he walked with the Messiah, and he should have been very enriched by walking with the Messiah, and he was. But if you found it, book 3, chapter 20.
I got a question to see if I found it. Does the chapter start like chapter? Well, I mean the books. Does it start homily 3? Homily 3. Okay, that's the same as book 3, right?
Yeah. Okay, sorry if I wasn't clear enough. I apologize. Yeah.
I want to know if that's how it went, because I did find it, and you say chapter 20. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna get the screen up.
Okay, let me know when you're ready. It's all good. Take your time.
All right.
This book should have been canonized, Brother Yahowyada. It should have been, but it was kept out. I think the Nazarene Acts of the Apostles should have been canonized too. It has a lot of information that I think anybody would need to know and understand: prophecy, dreams, demons, baptism, stuff like that. The test of a true prophet. I mean, it's good to know to make sure that you're not deceived and validated in your walk, because anybody can walk up to you and say anything, but how do you know it's from the Most High? Some people will miss that. Think just because somebody's saying something that sounds good, it comes from the Most High. All right. It should say Christ, the only prophet, has appeared in different ages.
Okay, I'm almost there. Just so everybody knows, you can get this for free online. You can just type in Clementine Homilies, book 3, chapter 20. That's what I did, and it gave me a PDF. So it's probably online where you can just read it for free too. But this is the link I clicked. So I'm there, Doug.
Okay, in chapter 20, it reads, it says, Christ the only prophet, we'll read it from Homily 3, chapter 20. It says, Christ the only prophet has appeared in different ages. And it reads, but give heed to my first discourse of the truth. If anyone do not allow the man fashioned by the hand of Elohim to have the Holy Spirit of the Messiah, how is he not guilty of the greatest impiety in allowing another born of an impure stock to have it? But he would act most piously if he should not allow to another to have it, but should say that he alone has it, who has changed his forms and his names from the beginning of the world, and so reappeared again and again. What does that say? In the world until coming upon his own times and being anointed with mercy for the good works, or for the works of Elohim, he shall enjoy rest forever. His honor is to bear rule and lordship over all things in air, earth, and waters. But in addition to these, himself having made man, he had breath and the indescribable garment of the soul that might be able to be immortal. All right, now let's go to two kinds of prophecy, 23. The same homily 3:23.
All right, I'm there.
Thank you, sir. It reads, I'm in homily 3:23. Let us then understand that there are two kinds of prophecy, one male, and let it be defined that the first, being the male, has ranked after the other in the order of advent, but the second, being female, has been appointed to come first in the advent of the pairs. This second, therefore, being amongst those born of women, as the female superintendent of this world, wishes to be thought masculine, wherefore, stealing the seeds of the male, and sowing them with her own seeds of the flesh, she brings forth fruits, that is, words as wholly her own. And she promises that she will give the present earthly riches as a dowry, wishing to change the slow for the swift, the small for the greater. So these are kind of some good reads, you guys, to understand that. Now let's go back. Let's go back to 11. I want them to see this in 11, please. What I read before, in case folks weren't in back then when I was reading it, I want them to see what I was reading from, if you would.
Okay, I'm going almost there.
It should say the distinction between prediction and prophecy.
Yeah, I got it.
All right, if you want to read it, or if I want to read it, you let me know.
I'll let you read it.
Okay, it reads. It says, I'm in homily 3:11, distinction between prediction and prophecy. Whence it must, before all things be known, that nowhere can truth be found unless from a prophet of truth. That's a marker. But he is a true prophet, and we know this about the Messiah, who always knows all things, and even the thoughts of all men. That's a marker. Remember, true prophet knows all things and the thoughts of all men, who is without sin, as being convinced respecting the judgments of Elohim, or God. Wherefore, we ought not simply to respect his foreknowledge, but whether his foreknowledge can stand apart from other cause. If we understood what he's saying, can his prophecy stand alone with the things that it was that he was saying? That's what he's saying, okay? For physicians predict certain things, having the pulse of patient as matter submitted to them, and some predict by means of having fowls, talking about birds, and some having sacrifices, okay? And others by having many various matters submitted to them, yet these are no prophets. So it's letting us know the difference between prediction and prophecy. And then we go to the prophetic knowledge constant, chapter, what does it say? 13. Let's go to 13. It reads, thank you for that, brother Yahowyada. I appreciate that, going along with the screen. It really helps so people can see what it is reading. It says, wherefore, he confidently made statements respecting things that are to be. I mean, sufferings, places, limits, for being a faultless prophet and looking upon all things with the boundless eye of his soul. He knows hidden things. But if we should hold, as many do, that even the true prophet, not always, but sometimes, when he has the Spirit, and through it foreknows, but when he has it not, is ignorant. Do you guys get that, right? I'm going to read that again. But if we should hold, as many do, that even the true prophet, not always, do you hear the difference? But sometimes, when he has the Spirit, and through it foreknows, but when he has it not, is ignorant. If we should suppose thus, we should deceive ourselves and mislead others. For such a matter belongs to those who are madly inspired by the spirit of disorder. You guys see that? To those who are drunken besides the altars and are gorged with fat. Chapter 14, the prophetic spirit constant. For we're permitted to anyone who will profess prophecy to have it believed in the cases in which he was found false. That then he had not the Holy Spirit of foreknowledge. Who got that? Because didn't you say, Brother Yahowyada, that somebody prophesied of something of Trump or whatever it is and it didn't come true?
Yeah, I didn't even get to explain it. I was going to explain it, but
yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Get it in. I'll finish this. Go ahead.
Okay. Perfect setup. Thank you. Thank you, Father, as well for this. So here we go. So this is how it went. It was some time ago when Obama was still in the White House. He was still president. This was his second term, and me and two other sisters was on the phone together. We've known each other for years, just like you and I, Doug. We've known each other for years. And her dad, one of the sisters' one of the sisters' dad was involved in the conversation somehow. And he's a preacher and he's over a church congregation or assembly. And it was said to us from his daughter that her dad had received a revelation from the Holy Spirit. And she was saying that he said that Obama was not going to leave the White House. He was going to stay in the office a third term. And he was also the king of the South that is spoken of in the book of Daniel. And, at the time, I could see this happening only from what I've heard before she told me that, but not everything that she said. I only saw it happening, him being in the White House a third term, because of this video that came out on YouTube saying that he was going to be the last president of USA. But that came to be false. But I've never said anything about the Holy Spirit was going to cause that to happen. But this dude did. That's what made it different. So, and then he also was saying some extra stuff. He even got on the phone with us that night and explained his doctrine and teaching and the information he claimed he received, right? So none of us said that he's a false prophet at that time. None of us was thinking like that. But we heard his information, whether we believed it or not. He went over scriptures and said all the other. But then, some time later, when Obama actually left the office, we forgot about this. So then one day, when Trump is in office, currently, it was like 2 months ago or a month and a half ago, we was all on the phone again, me, the two sisters, and we was talking about Trump. And the sister who had the dad who false prophesied before, she was saying that she received from the Most High that Trump was going to stay in the office or something like this, and that we should pray for Trump and things like that, right? And okay, when she kept saying this for a while, right? So I was like, I never thought to ask her this until that day. I was like, well, you said the Most High told you this, but did he tell you this directly? Or did somebody else get a message from the Most High and they told you this? So she said that, no, I didn't get a message directly. Somebody else, she was like, her dad got this message and he said it's from the Holy Spirit, if I'm correct. And that he put it out to everybody else, I suppose. And then she believed it and told us. So I'm like, okay. So this is the same guy who said what he said about Obama, which didn't come to pass, which according to scripture is a false prophet. And we didn't get that scripture or those scriptures exactly where it says, we might have got a bit of it from this, but we didn't get the exact ones I'm thinking about where it talks about if a prophet prophesies in the name of the Lord and it doesn't come to pass, basically that he's a false prophet. We didn't get that, but that's basically what a false prophet is, because he claimed it came from the Holy Spirit. And his two things he said didn't come to pass yet. And the other thing that I'm finalizing up is to say, when he was recently claiming he got a message from the Holy Spirit again, he said that Trump was going to stay in the White House and go for a second term. And what else did he say? That's pretty much all I can remember right now. And so she believed it. And I was just telling her, I'm like, look, okay, I was trying not to be disrespectful, but it's her dad, so it makes it more difficult. So I'm like, look, what if it doesn't come to pass? He's a false prophet according to the Bible. And I was just like, now just listen. I just want to know what you're going to do, because, I don't want you to continue to listen to a person like this wholeheartedly or 100% when he's saying things that's not coming to pass. And he's basically saying he's getting this from the Holy Spirit. That just, to me, it's a caution area. It's a red flag. It's something to look out for. So that's why I wanted to do this video, Doug, because this has been going on for years. And this isn't the only person out there that's claiming he's getting messages from the Holy Spirit or the Most High. It's other people that's done this too, but people are still listening to them. They're still joining their assemblies. They're still under these people. They're still just influenced and led blindly. So that's my story. That's all, Doug. So now you can continue.
And so, you know, I ask people, does the Most High speak against himself? Does the Most High lie? So we have to be mindful. There's a scripture in the Old Testament. There's a couple that says we're not supposed to be a respecter of persons. So whether it's my mama, my auntie, my daughter, my wife, my, you know, my if wives, if it's your husbands, whoever it is, women, if it's your men, you can't be a respecter of persons. Remember, it has to be supported by a second and third witness. You see, why that's important? Why we have what's called law and prophet, because these are forms of testimonial witnesses. A reference is something that you can turn to, like when the Messiah prophesied, he came from nothing else but what? The law and the prophets. You see, and he stuck to the script. So remember, they could not convict the Messiah being a false prophet, could they? Because he's bringing nothing but what? Law and the prophets. He's not saying, I believe, I think. He's saying, is it not written? Is it not written? Is it not written? He's coming with a second or third witness. And so, and a lot of things that he did prophesy did come to pass. Now when we're in homily 3, and thank you for that share, because people got to know the difference between what somebody's thinking and feeling and what's in their head and what's actually written and what's actually in the scriptures. You see what I'm saying? You have to know the difference, because there's so many of these people, like you said, that'll have people think of something that the Most High told them, but it's not. But I want to say this though before we go into it. We were talking about dreams and things like that. Dreams can somewhat be used for false prophecy. If people are ignorant of it, I don't think as much. But if somebody comes out and says, thus says the Most High in my dream, there's a lot of scriptural references with that. But also, what I would say is this, is that, is that if me and you were having a personal conversation, Brother Yahowyada, and I'm telling you, I had a dream, and this is what my dream, I don't know what it means, I don't know what it says. People got to know the difference between when, like we were talking about this before, the Most High in the Old Testament would sit down with people, like he sat down with Moses, like he met Abraham and sat down with him. Whether or not people believe it was Gabriel or whatever it is, we got to know the difference between that compared to a dark dream or a vision that we may not be aware of. So people got to know, when somebody comes out and says, thus says the Most High for my dream, ask them, where's your second or third witness? Show me in the law or in the prophets. The Messiah didn't come talking about dreams. He came talking law and prophets. Peter didn't come talking about dreams. He came talking about law and prophet. You see, brother, what's his name? Didn't come talking about dreams and visions. James, he talked about law and prophet. And so I wanted to read this so that way people can know the difference even among ourselves. Because you got some Israelites today that talk about their prophets and some things that they've quoted didn't come to pass. Now, one of the recent ones, if you guys remember, was saying that Donald Trump was going to be the next president for the next 4 years. He would wage martial law and all these things. You know, the mark of the beast is the RFID chip. You guys hear all of these different things, and so you have to know how to sort it out. How do you know if it's true? You have to support it by a second and third witness. You have to stay grounded in understanding what is the real law of Yahweh Elohim. You guys see that? Deuteronomy, what is it, 19:15? Deuteronomy, let me see.
Deuteronomy 18.
Deuteronomy chapter 7, verses what? 6 through 7. And then also, I think it's Numbers 35:15 or something like that. You guys, you have to support it by a second and third witness. That's why we're showing you references of what it is that we're reading. We're not just coming off of what we feel. Like I'm telling you, homily 3, chapter 14, I'm giving you a reference. Prophetic spirit is constant, and it reads, for we're permitted to anyone who will profess prophecy, okay, to have it believed in the cases in which he was found false, that then he had not the Holy Spirit of foreknowledge. It will be difficult to convict him of being a false prophet. For among the many things that he speaks, a few come to pass. You guys get that? And then he is believed to have the Spirit, although he speaks the first things last and the last things first. speaks of past events as future and future as already passed, and also without sequence, or things borrowed from others and altered, and some that are lessened, unformed, foolish, ambiguous, unseemly, obscure, proclaiming, and unconscientious. So I'm gonna read it again. But if it were permitted to anyone who will profess prophecy to have believed in the cases in which he was found false, that then he had not the spirit of foreknowledge. You guys get that? It would be difficult to convict him of being a false prophet. You guys get that? Okay. All right. So we got to understand what we know the difference. Like you said, Brother Yahowyada, if you say one thing false and you said thus says the Most High, you're done. Automatically, you're done. You will be considered a heretic after that. People don't have to listen to you, don't have to watch you anymore. People got to be careful about these kind of things. Like I said, just over the last year, Trump's going to be the next president. He's going to wage martial law. He's going to wake a war, and he's going to make it. I'm telling you, the Most High showed me, and I would tell people, show me this in the scriptures. Show me this. And they couldn't do it. And sure enough, now what has happened? Joe Biden has just been cemented in. And now this female, who I'm not going to say her name, on Facebook, I don't see her around no more. I don't see her making any of these big claims anymore. And another sister came up talking about dreams. She was talking about dreams, and that's another one. That's another topic. But these are good to go into the clemency homilies, so we can understand, fam, or what the difference is. Let me see if I can go to the the test of the true prophet. Did I do that? Okay, let's go to 34. Let's go to excuse me. It's on page 34, but it would be, let's see. Let's go to homily 2. Can you go to homily 2?
Hold on. Let's see. Homily 2. It's gonna take me a little bit. Homily 2.
That's fine. Homily 2. Homily 2:10. Let me know when you're ready.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hold on.
Yeah. No worries. No hurries. Take your time. Because even us, we have dreams and stuff and things like that. How do we know it's from the Most High? That's what I'm saying. That could be a whole other topic. That could be a whole other discussion. That's why I'm just dabbling. I'm just dabbling on it, but we don't want to go too much into it because people can really believe something's from the Most High by a dream, and they can have scriptures to support it. But are the scriptures being used in the right way to determine is the dream or the vision accurate and things like that? That's why I say we could do another one as far as dreams, Brother Yahowyada. That would be a good one too. If you want to do that one too, we can do that later too. It's up to you.
I definitely will. We can mix some of that in now because if this is going to go into dreams, I mean, we can mix it because it is scriptures about false prophets and dreams, and like I got a cross reference with that right now, and also I got one with what we was just talking about before. I can get it now or after you read this. I mean, it's whatever.
Okay. We can try to dab on it because I don't want to go too deep because it's going to upset some people who really believe in their dreams. It's going to upset people, and this is not to. This is my disclaimer. This is not to upset people. This is for us to validate and repudiate what is and what's not, for us to be certain and to be on a solid foundation. I even had to work back some of my old dreams that I thought was from the Most High. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. It didn't come with a second or third witness of scripture, so I had to let it go. It's just how I read it. But in homily 2, chapter 10, you see how it says the test of the prophet?
Yeah.
You want to read that or you want me to read it?
I'll let you read it, Doug.
Okay, and it reads, the test of the prophet. If he is a prophet and is able to know how the world was made and the things that are in it and the things that shall be to the end, if he has foretold us anything and we have ascertained that it has been perfectly accomplished, we easily believe that the things shall be which he says are to be, from the things that have been already. We believe him, I say, as not only knowing, but foreknowing. To whom then, however limited in understanding he may have, does it not appear that it behooves us, with respect to the things that are pleasing to Elohim, to believe beyond all others him who beyond all men knows, even though he has not learned? Wherefore, if anyone should be unwilling to concede the power of knowing the truth to such an one, I mean to him who has the foreknowledge of the divinity of the Spirit that is in him, conceding the power of the knowing to anyone else, is he not void of understanding in conceding to him who is no prophet that power of knowing which he would not concede to the prophet? All right, that was good. All right, let's go to 11. Ignorance, knowledge, and foreknowledge. Let's read. It says, wherefore, before all things, we must test the prophet with all judgment by means of the prophetic promise. And having ascertained him to be the prophet, we must undoubtedly follow the other words of his teaching. And having confidence concerning things hoped for, we must conduct ourselves according to the first judgment, knowing that he who tells us these things has not a nature to lie. You guys get that? Wherefore, if any of the things that are afterwards spoken by him do not appear to us to be well spoken, we must know that it is not that he has spoken amiss, but that it is we have not conceived it aright. For ignorance does not rightly judge knowledge, and so neither is knowledge competent truly to judge foreknowledge. But foreknowledge affords knowledge to the ignorant. Who got that? Moving on. It says, doctrine of the true prophet in chapter 12. Hence, O beloved Clement, if you would know the things pertaining to Elohim, you have to learn them from him alone, because he alone knows the truth. For if anyone else knows anything, he has received it from him or from his disciples. And this is his doctrine and true proclamation, that there is one Elohim, or one God, whose work the world is, who being altogether righteous shall certainly at some point render to everyone according to his deeds. So that's there. And there's also more, but this is the homilies. Let me see. Where is it? 61, 78. Let me see. Let's go to 78. Let's see if I can find. Now you have the whole PDF, Brother Yahowyada?
I believe it. Yeah, I believe I do.
All right.
You want me to go to where?
Yes. Where are we? Let's go to let me see. Mine says page 78, but let's see what homily number it is. Okay. All right. Homily 3.
Homily 3? Okay.
Yes, sir. Homily 3. These are good. Homily 3. It looks like it says what, 49? So it's going to say XLIX.
Okay. I got to find homily 3 if I didn't pass it.
It's all good. It was in the one we were reading earlier. It's all good.
Okay, I just found it. You say 49?
Yes, sir. 49. It should say XLIX.
I think I just had it.
And it should say the true prophet.
You say 43 or what was it?
49.
Oh, 49. My bad. Okay, got it. Test of truth?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
All
Let me
right,
make sure you see the screen. Hold on. I might have put the screen
Go ahead.
back.
Go ahead.
I got to put the screen back up there. All right. Ready?
Yes, sir. It says the true prophet. Or the test of truth. Okay, we can do that. Well, I mean, we could, but I don't know if people would receive that.
Oh, you said 49. Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Here's the next one down.
Okay, hold on. Let me go down. All right, there we go.
Okay. Now, do you notice what it says on the bottom of the page? It says Septuagint version of the Deuteronomy 34:8. Do you see that?
Mine's, I can't see that.
You see at the bottom of the page?
Oh, I see it now. Let's see. I see these notes.
And give them the pointers so that way they know that they were quoting from the Septuagint in the first century. That the Septuagint was a very wide, authorized, and acceptable copy even to the early assembly followers of the way. Or let me see.
I didn't see anything about the Septuagint.
Go up.
Oh, go up, because that was the bottom.
Yeah. Go back up. Go back up to that other page that was up there before. Keep going, because I think I saw it on the other one. Go up, right there. What does that say? Deuteronomy 34:6. It is curious to find.
Oh, bad. Okay, I see it.
Okay, because right here on mine, you guys can't see it. It's really, really small, but it says according to the Septuagint. I wanted people just to keynote that they're telling us to cross-reference the actual Septuagint of that 34:9. But anyway, 34:8. Okay, so right here it says the test of the true prophet. All right, okay. I'm showing people references that what we have commonly today, many people don't have the Septuagint, which was 250 BC, and why it's good to get the Septuagint. And I'll show you guys what the Septuagint is.
Okay, hold on. Let me switch it back to your screen.
It's all good. But this is what it means when they quote, when they're quote. It's all good when they mean the Septuagint. They're letting us know they were quoting from this. That's 250 years before the Messianic era. That was why they accepted. So when we go to chapter 49, the true prophet. All right, it reads, Then Peter said, I shall tell you forthwith, it is written in the first book of the law towards the end, a ruler shall not fail from Judah, nor a leader from his thighs, until he come whose it is, and he is the expectation of the nations. It says Genesis, what does that say, 49:10? I think that says Genesis 49:10. If therefore anyone can apprehend him, who came after the failure of the ruler and the leader from Judah, and who was to be expected by the nations, he would be able by this verse to recognize him as truly having come. And believing his teaching, he will know that of the scriptures are true and what are false. And said Simon, we're talking about Simon Magus, I understand that you speak of your Yahoshua or the Messiah as him who was prophesied of by the scripture. That's a marker. Therefore, let it be granted that it is so. Tell us then how he taught you to discriminate the scriptures. So that's there. So what are we finding out by reading that? That basically it was foretelling that what? And what did it say? A ruler shall not fail from Judah, nor a leader from his thighs until he come, whose it is, and he is the expectation of the nations. And sure enough, we see this is talking about the Messiah. And this was being talked about, what was that, like 1,500 years or so before the Messiah even came, to show reference of that this was the test, one of the tests of the true prophets. And so it's kind of good for us to get this in, fam, so that way we can understand the difference between, divining and actual prophecy happens exactly as it was meant to happen according to the scriptures. But go ahead, Brother Yahowyada.
Okay. So
you want to share that?
Let me see, because we was talking about, and this is what I was thinking about. I believe this is one of them that I was thinking about. So let me share this one. This is in Deuteronomy 18. This is a popular. Well, these are some popular scriptures about what is it, false prophets or true prophets. So let me get this on the screen so everybody can see it.
Okay.
Well, I think everybody's familiar with this, but let me see. How do I get this on the screen? Let me remove that. Stop screen. I used to have it where it just will go to every screen that I'm looking at, but I'm just putting it on like one tab at a time. So I gotta like get used to this. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get better prepared. Let's see. There you go. Share screen. All right. Where's Deuteronomy 18? There it is. Okay, got it. Okay. So I think I'll start about. I'll just start at 17. Why not? Okay, Deuteronomy 18:17 says, and the Lord said to me, they have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise up a prophet from among their brethren like to you, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not listen to my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. But the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. So this is a part of the verses I was talking about right here. That's a key one. And then it goes on to say, and you shall you shall say in your heart, how shall we know the word which the Lord have not spoken? And then it says, when a prophet speak in the name of the Lord, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which the Lord hath not spoken. But the prophet hath spoken it presumptuously, you shall not be afraid of him. That's what the situation reminds me of when I think about the preacher who is the dad of this sister who was claiming these things came from the Holy Spirit, which is big to say, it's huge to say. So somebody to say something like that, that's different. Like if anybody say that, or if they say the Lord said this or God, and they mean the true God, or if you just know what they mean, that's serious. If they say those two things, that's serious. That takes it to another level. It's not like somebody just get on there and say, I had a dream or they talk about something in the past and then it comes true in the future. That's different. That might be considered prophesizing too, but it's different when they say, I got this message from the Lord, or the Holy Spirit told me this, and they tell you something, and then in time or time passes and it don't come to pass like they said or at all, then to me you got a false prophet. And that's what's happening, or that's what has happened with one of the guys' names is Arya from Great Milestone GMS. It's a camp in the so-called Hebrew Israelite community. He and other people were going around maybe in the year 1999 claiming something was going to happen in the year 2000, and it didn't happen. And some people yet still follow these groups and camps, and even him. I mean, so after I seen that, I couldn't take anything he said too serious anymore, because I know him for false prophesizing. Once you, like what Doug was reading, Brother Yahowyada, like what he was reading, it when somebody says something like that and it don't come to pass, you can't take them serious. It's like they lose to a degree something that you might have had before with them. It just kind of dies down a little bit. Now, for some people, they keep listening to them. I don't know why, but they do. But that's one of the scriptures I wanted to get out. Now, did you say you had something to connect with dreams, by the way?
Let me see. Just going through some of my notes here. Let me see.
Because I do got a verse that I go.
Go ahead. Because I gotta grab something. But go ahead.
Okay, cool.
I can still hear you though.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get this verse. Now it is verses in the Bible that go along with dreams. You can just have a strong exercise of concordance, or just looking on Blue Letter or some website that allow you to specific searching words, like specific words. It's the word dreams occur 21 times and 21 verses in the KJV, but we're not going to specifically look at all these if we do. But I want to specifically get something from the Apocrypha. I might get into translations. So this is going to come from Sirach 34, 1 through 7. Let's see. Trying to figure out where I want to get it at. I'm just on the website because I got in a certain translation here that I like. I might even get it these two, but like to translate. You can see better the main two scriptures I want to bring out in it. So I'm just going to this image. I just posted the image of the scriptures, and I'm gonna go and just read that. Let's see. I think I call it dream study. Sorry about that. No, that was something else. You can always come here and check this out if you want to. It's kind of like studies and images, basically. Like information. There it is right there. Okay, so it says dream study, Sirach 34, 1 through 7. This book is also called Ben Sirach and Ecclesiasticus. Really, really close to Ecclesiastes, but it's not the type of way. So it says, I tried to make it bigger, but that didn't work. So it says, foolish people are deceived by vain hopes. This is first one. It says, foolish people are deceived by vain hopes, and dreams get them all excited. A person who pays any attention at all to dreams is like someone who tries to catch shadows or chase the wind. Now think about trying to catch a shadow. Have you ever been playing around at night as a child and you see a shadow from the light reflecting, you see the shadow of yourself or anybody, and you try to catch it, you can never catch it. We all know that. But it kind of reminds me of that. So let's keep going. Then it says, what you see in a dream is no more real than the reflection of your face in a mirror. What is unreal can no more produce something real than what is dirty can produce something clean. Here's the main verses right here. It says, dreams, divination, and omens are all nonsense. You see in them only what you want to see. Here's the last two key verses. Unless the Most High has sent you the dream, pay no attention to it. Dreams have misled many. They have put their faith in them, only to be disappointed. And I just have a note at the bottom saying, if our dreams are not from God, the true God, we should not pay them any attention. It's a lot of dreams that I have just don't mean anything. It's just not important. So I learned to try to figure out which ones are from the Most High and which ones are not. And if they're not from the Most High, don't even pay it any attention because it's just nonsense. You don't have to take it serious. So those are some that I was going to get out, Doug. Those scriptures have been very helpful for me. Keeps me from believing in a lot of nonsense that I dream. So go ahead, Doug, if you're ready. Oh, Doug, are you muted? Did I mute you? Or?
Okay.
Oh, you muted. You unmuted.
I think I muted myself.
Okay. I'm like, I know I ain't do it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Yeah.
All right. So now we're dealing with dreams, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now we talked last week. You said it was Ecclesiasticus chapter what? Chapter 1 through like 7. Which one did you say?
That was Ecclesiasticus chapter 1. 34 that I just read. You talking about that?
Yeah, but you had said there was one in the beginning though, where you said we had read it before, like last year, where you said at the beginning, if he has a dream, think not upon it or something like that. Which one was that? In the Ecclesiastes, remember that?
Yeah, that was just what I was just reading. That was Cyrus 34. The key verses would be 6 through 7 in chapter 34. But you know, I just read 1 through 7, in the whole context of it. That's all.
Okay. That was it then. That was it. Now remember when Brother Yahowyada, remember how when Moses was being told by the Most High, basically Moses was being visited face to face. Okay, and so people got to know the difference between. See, when you have a dream, we're not 100% certain on what it means because it's referred to as like a dark speech, right? So how do people go about determining in the Old Testament if the dream was of the Most High? They would also need a prophet. Remember, Abimelech had a dream. He had to go inquire of Abraham. Pharaoh had a dream. He had to go inquire of Abraham. You know, is that your wife? Is that your wife? Yes, she is. But what did the Most High say? For that man is a prophet, talking about Abraham, right? So the Most High has a method in the Old Testament. Now, the only one that did not require an intermediary, one that could break down the visions of dreams, was Joseph. He had some type of wisdom where he could explain what the 7 years of famine were and the 7 years of plenty. But remember where he said, "I will speak to him face to face," right? But not in dark speeches. Go to Numbers 12:8.
Okay.
Numbers chapter 12. We can go verses 1 through 8. Let me know when you get it, if you want to put it up on the screen.
Okay. Excuse me. Let me set it up.
Okay, because I want them to see this reference as a secondary source. You know, and then we can go into some of the homilies as well. And I think it's good to know, you know, when you're talking about false prophecies could also come in the form of dreams. And why they were permitted throughout the Old Testament, and why I believe, according to my studies, why they're no longer allowed. And we talked about that before. The Messiah was the ultimate prophet. Oh snap! That was an infinity screen right there.
Yeah, yeah. I just set it up to where to just share everything I'm looking at instead of like one tab at a time, because I got tired of like having to do this every time
Yeah, I like that, man. That's a good function right there. So in what does it say? Where are we? In Numbers 12:8. Let's start off from verse 1.
Okay.
Numbers 12, verse 1. Do you want to read it or you want me to read it?
I can take this one for you. You want to read the whole chapter?
Yeah, 12 verses 1 through 8.
Okay. It says, in verse 1, it says, "And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, Have the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Have he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it. Now The man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. And the Lord spake suddenly to Moses and to Aaron and to Miriam, Come out, you three, to the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, Hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known to him in a vision and will speak. Now, vision can also be a synonym of dream, just to put that out there. And then it says, and will speak to him in a dream. Well, heck, there it is. And then it says, My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house. With him I will speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches, and the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore, then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
So I want to hold there. Thank you for that, Brother Yahowyada. Thank you. So now, some people say, you see right there, it says he's going to speak to us in a dream. What does it say, though? But he's going to speak to Moses face to face. So when we go into dreams and visions and we talk about understand the difference between a true prophet, remember the prophets in the Old Testament, they were allowed to stick around and answer questions. You know, you could ask Jeremiah a question. You could ask Abraham a question. You could ask Daniel a question. You could, as you could say, you could scrutinize them. You could criticize them. You could feed them. You could talk with them. You could ask them. You name it. You could interact with them. Remember when the visitors came to Abraham? Remember that it says the Most High visited Abraham. It said 3 men came. Was it this misty cloud? Was it a dream, or did they come face to face? Did they sit down with him? You see what I'm saying? And we have to understand the order of things. So, and I think it was Genesis 18. I think it was Genesis 18 when they did that and they sat down with them. What also did they do? They were able to eat, they were able to drink, and they were asking questions. And Abraham was asking them questions. They were what? They were answering them. So we have to understand the difference. Now with the dream, it just said in dark speeches, in dark sentences. What does it mean if it's dark? We don't know quite the meaning of it. If you guys remember, there were different prophecies in the Old Testament when even the angel would ask the prophet, do you know what this means? And remember that even the prophet would be like, no, I don't know what that means. So it didn't deal with the wisdom of the prophet. It dealt with the Most High opening unto them what their dream or their vision meant. The Most High caused them to see a dream or vision, but they needed what? Interpretation, you see. And sure enough, we see the Messiah also comes what? Face to face. You see, and he interacts with you. You can ask him questions. He'll interact back with you. We can't do that with the dream or vision. You can't tell your dream and vision, sit there on a couch. Let me ask you a question. Let me talk to you. And then some people, think they see misty figures or something like that. Over and over, according to what we see, they came in the flesh. People will think an angel deals with something that has wings. I don't ever see. Do you ever see anywhere in the scripture where an angel had wings? They almost always look like they have flesh, and they look like men. When we read in Genesis 18, behold, 3 men came. You see, and so we have to know the difference between a dream and a vision and actual prophecy. And so that's there. But then also he said face to face is like a friend. I think, which one was that? Was that Numbers or was that Deuteronomy? Remember where he said, but I'm gonna sit with Moses face to face like a friend. And so almost all the time when it's a dream, it deals with wrath and interpretation, and we don't know what it means. So how is somebody going to know what it means? They're going to need to go talk to a prophet, you see. And what was the ultimate prophet? It was Yahoshua ben Yah, or who we refer to as the Messiah. Let me see. Go to Exodus 33:11. Exodus 33. I think we can read verses 1 through 11. When this stuff made known to me, I'm out hit the floor, man. I think we all should understand this stuff to make sure that somebody can't come to us in a dream or a vision, and we know that it's really of the Most High. What did I say? Deuteronomy 33:11?
I'm not sure. I was going to ask you. What did you say?
Deuteronomy, I think it says 33:11.
Oh, Deuteronomy or Exodus? I thought you said Exodus. Wait, so which one?
Oh, wait. Maybe I said Exodus. Did I say Exodus? Yeah, I did. Thank you for that. Exodus 33:11. Thank you for that.
33, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
So, because people have dreams, you know, they have concerns, understood. Okay. Let me see. 33 verse 9. It reads, let me know when you're ready, because if you want to put it up and let them see it.
Okay, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay, Exodus 33. I'm going to start off in verse 9. And when Moses entered into the tabernacle, the pillar of the cloud descended and stood at the door of the tabernacle. And Elohim talked with Moses. And all the people saw the pillar of the cloud standing by the door of the tabernacle. And all the people stood and worshiped, and everyone at the door of his tent. And what does that say in verse 11?
And the Lord spake to Moses face to face, as a man speak to his friend. And he turned again into the camp. And but his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the temple.
Hallelujah. Now, so we're showing, remember, Exodus dealt a lot with patterns, types, and shadows of the Messiah in different ways. So can, you know, in reference to a dream, is a dream or a vision being face to face? Like me and Brother Yahowyada. Like if I come to his house, he could feed me. You know what I'm saying? He could give me drink. You know, he could talk to me. He could ask me questions. I could answer his questions. This is the difference in understanding between a dream and an actual prophet. The prophet is actually there that could remain. Remember, there were times in the Old Testament where a prophet could remain in somebody's house for a couple of days. You could touch them. You know, you could talk to them. You could, you know, discourse with them, ask them all kinds of questions, as the Most High would already put it in them to already have certain answers already ready. You see, you know, the certain prophet would go to somebody and say specifically the thing that somebody wanted to know. And then they can sit there and question them and scrutinize them. So we're seeing a pattern that if the Most High is a friend to you, he'll appear to you face to face, not in dark speeches. We just read that in, what was that? Good grief. What was that? Deuteronomy what? That last one where we just said, not in dark speeches. Therefore,
you mean Exodus?
Which one did we just read?
No, that was Numbers, wasn't it? Numbers 8?
Yeah, it might have been Numbers. It might have been Numbers. I'm getting them twisted. Yeah, forgive me for that. But so we're seeing a pattern how the Most High operates. You know, he said a dream was like a dark speech. We don't know what it means. So remember, Abimelech had a dream. He didn't know what it meant. He had to go to a prophet, and the prophet had to tell him what it meant. Hey, is that your wife? Yes, she's my wife. Same with Pharaoh. And so, and there's another thing too, is that people will think just because they have a dream that they're pious, but we see even men of Old Testament were impious, you see. And that's there.
12:8, by the way.
Thank you. And so how could somebody know what their dream means if they don't even understand it themselves? You see what I'm saying? So did you go to a prophet to interpret your dream and understanding on what that dream meant? If it was really for the Most High, that wasn't supported by a second or third witness and things like that. Now what will happen is, Brother Yahowyada, now what will happen is when it comes to dreams is this. When you go to Joel, the 2nd chapter, I think it's in verse Joel, where it says your young men shall dream dreams. Now people will do this and say, that's what this is. Joel 2:28. We go to Joel 2:28. We're gonna read Judges? We're gonna read something from Judges?
Did you say Judges?
Joel, Joel. We can go to Judges 13 a little bit too. We go to that too. But let's go to Joel 3. Joel 2:28. Excuse me, Joel 2:28.
2:48?
Joel 2:28.
Oh, okay.
So people will think this prophecy applies to now. And I'm not so sure the way that it shakes down that this is it. Excuse me. All right, so let's go to Joel. Let's go to Joel 2:28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. And on my servants and on my handmaids in those days I will pour out my spirit, and I will show wonders in the heaven and upon the earth, and blood and fire and vapor of smoke. Sun shall be turned into darkness, moon into blood, before the great and glorious day of Yah come. All right, so people will say, which is understandable. This has got to be talking about our days, because, you know, the spirit is being poured out. But when you go to Acts, the 2nd chapter, Acts chapter 2, verse 14. In Acts chapter 2, we're getting a distinction between in our day, does it apply as far as dreams and visions, or was it only for a set time? And I believe it was only for a set time because the true prophet Eloah, the Messiah, has come. And we can go back to Deuteronomy 18, verses 15, when he said there's going to be one coming like me. But in Acts 2:14, this is when they were being poured out the Holy Spirit on the day of Shavuot, or what was known as weeks. Okay, the day of the covenant was being established. Ruach HaKodesh being poured out as of Jeremiah, what was it, 31 verses 31 through 33, we said a renewed covenant. You know, the Spirit is going to be poured out, the law is going to be put on your heart, right? So in Acts 2:14, there's a reiteration of that prophecy in Joel 2. But Kephas said, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said unto them, Ye men of Judah, and all ye that dwell in Jerusalem, be this known unto you, and hearken to my words. For these are not drunken as you suppose, but it is but the third hour of the day. But this is that which was spoken of the prophet Joel. And it shall come to pass in the last days, says Yah, I will pour my ruach upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. So people will think that in our day was a reiteration of Joel 2. It appears to have already happened, as they knew, no, this is that which was spoken of by the prophet Joel. So I tell people that prophecy was fulfilled. And when you read through the different prophecies that have been brought through the Gospels, you'll hear them say different things in the Gospels. And it was spoken by Isaiah, and it was spoken by Jeremy, and it was spoken by this, that the Messiah was fulfilling certain aspects of the prophecy. And we don't continue them on. It appears this was fulfilled. And it says in verse 17, and shall come to pass in the last days, says Yah, I'll put my ruach upon all flesh, your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And on my servants and on my handmaidens I will pour out in those days of the ruach, and they shall prophesy. And I shall show wonders in the heaven above, and the signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. The sun shall be turned to darkness, and the moon to blood. Now people will say, the moon didn't turn to blood during the time of the Messiah. And you come to find out, no, actually it did. It was an omission that they left out of the scriptures, that actually the moon did turn into blood on the night of the Messianic offering. It's in the letters of Pilate. Do you have the letters of Pilate? Remember the one you gave me? You sent me a while back? In the letters to Pilate, letters of what's his name, it shows us right here. I don't know if you have it. I don't know if you can find it. It says the report of Pilate to the governor. If you can pull the PDF up. The report of Pilate to the governor. Remember this book, Lost Books of the Bible?
Yeah, I got it.
Now, if they have a PDF where it says the report of Pilate to the governor, he shows that there is a heavenly host. The same night, he says that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, were seen the night the Messiah was slain, and he also tells us that it was a blood moon. The same night. Okay? It reads. Now, it's in, what is it, the first chapter? I could turn my page so you guys can see it. I hope it doesn't get blocked for this or whatever it is.
Okay.
Maybe I can. Oh, shoot. It will let me turn it around? I don't think it'll let me turn it around. On this. Cam, let's see. Oh, no, it won't let me turn it around. But anyway, so I can't show it. But if you're looking for it, it's called the Report of Pilate to the Governor.
Yeah, I know it. I know I can try to get it. I just don't know how fast I can get it.
Okay. I mean, if you can't, don't worry about it. But I'm going to read it. It says, now when he was crucified, there was darkness all over the world, and the sun was obscured for half a day. That's Joel 2. And the stars appeared, but no luster was seen in them. And the moon lost its brightness, as though tinged with blood. You guys can see that right here. You guys see that? Let me know if you can see it.
I got a question.
I want to show a testimonial witness. Now, when he was crucified, there was darkness over all the world, and the sun was obscured for half a day. And what does that say? And the stars appeared, but no luster was seen in them, and the moon lost its brightness, as through tinged with blood. And the world of the departed was, what does that say, swallowed up, so that the very sanctuary of the temple, as they call it, did not appear, move it up, to the Yahudim themselves at that fall, but they perceived a chasm in the earth, and the rolling of the the successive thunder, and amid this the terror of the dead appeared. Rising again. At the Yahudim themselves bore witness and said that it was Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and the 12 patriarchs and Moses and Job who had died, and who had died before, as they say, some 3,000, some 3,500 years. So I'm going into this to show a reference and a record that people will think Joel 2 is applying to this day for us to have dreams and visions, moon being turned into blood, sun being turned black, and having all these things, but we're finding out, no, this actually happened during that time. And so, can we say that having dreams and visions is good for today? I would say no. Because the Messiah, the ultimate Navi Emet, or the prophet of truth, has already come. And so, when we go to Revelations, if you don't mind, I just want to bring this home why I stopped believing in my own dreams and stuff. When you go to Revelations, the 5th chapter, okay, we have to understand that this is how I study it. People can disagree. Okay, Revelations chapter 5. Let me know when you get it, because I'm going through some references if people want to see it.
Revelation where?
Revelation chapter 5. When we're talking about, that's why I say dreams can be a long topic. For us to rightfully distinguish, is it our dreams, is it of the Most High, or maybe it's just some concern of ours, some reading scriptures or being worried about something, you know what I mean? Which is still okay because it's coming from what we read. But in Revelation chapter 5, in verse 1, remember the name of the book is called Revelation. If I'm not mistaken, the ultimate revelation was of the Messiah, because he's the ultimate Navi Emet, or the prophet of truth. In Revelation 5, it reads, "And I saw in the right hand of him that sat upon the throne a book written within, and on the backside sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the scepter and to loose the seals thereof." Remember, the name of the book is called Revelation, okay? Talking about something that's revealing for the future, okay? And it says, "And no man in heaven, nor in earth, nor under the earth was able to open the scepter," okay? "Neither to look thereon. And I wept much because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders said unto me, Weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has prevailed to open the scepter and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne, of the 4 living creatures, and in the midst of the elders stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Yah, sent forth into all the earth. And he came and took the scepter out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the scepter, remember, we're talking about a book. We're not talking about a dream. This is a book here. It didn't say that he was unworthy to open the dreams. This is dealing with an actual physical reference, okay? And he says, right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the scepter, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them a kathara. What does that say? A guitar or harps, golden vials full of odor, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sung a new song, saying, You are worthy to open the book and to open the seals thereof. For you were slain and have redeemed us to Yah by your blood, out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, and have made us unto our Yah kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. So it's letting me know that only one after this point is able to do any revealing, which is the Messiah. He's the only one that had the key to unloose the the 7 seals. Now, when we go to the back, Revelations 22, I think we know this as well. Go to Revelations 22. This is just according to my studies. People can disagree, but I don't think the visions and dreams we have today are the same as what they had back then. I think it's been closed and it's been sealed, and only the Messiah has the ability to do any revealing. Everything was supposed to come from the books, because according to my studies, the Messiah was the ultimate prophet. And who can prophesy more than the Messiah himself? So when we go into Revelations 22:18, Revelations 22:18. And I just got like one more after this. And I'll give it back when we're talking about dreams. Revelations 22:18. And it reads, "For I testify unto every man that hears the words of this prophecy of this book, if any man adds to these things," that could be a dream or a vision, or any type of saying that somebody says that they have, "Yah shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. And if any man shall take away from the words of this book of prophecy, Yah shall take away his part out of the book of life, out of the holy city, from the things that are written in this book. He which testify these things says, surely I come quickly, amen." So let's hold there. I want to stamp this shut. Go to Daniel 9. Right fast. Daniel 9, because it's going to discuss why the vision and the prophecy was going to cease. Remember, he said he's going to declare it for a time, talking through Moses. "I'm going to come to him in a dream. And not so is my servant Moses. I'm going to speak to him face to face." I think Daniel was Second Temple. When we go to Daniel 9, okay? Daniel 9. Okay, this is how we can rightly separate between, is this the Most High coming to us a vision or dream, or is this some other source? Daniel 9:20, let's go to Daniel 9:20. Daniel chapter 9, verse 20. Right? That around the time of the Messiah, according to Daniel, he was going to seal up the vision and the prophet. So there should be no more vision or prophecy after the Messiah. Okay, Daniel 9:20. And it reads, "While I was speaking and praying and confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel." That's a marker, you guys. He's humbling himself before the Most High. He's acknowledging the sin of Israel. He says, "And presenting my supplication before Yahuwah Elohai, for the holy mountain of my Elohim. Yea, while I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel," you see how it says the man, that's another topic, "whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. And he informed me and talked with me." Remember, we're talking about he's talking, he's having an interaction, right? It's not some whatchamacallit, okay? So he's talking with him and said, "Daniel, I am now come forth to give you skill and understanding." So Daniel didn't understand this on his own. "At the beginning of your supplications," okay, "the word came forth, and I am come to show you, for you are greatly beloved. Therefore understand the matter and consider the vision." Okay? "For 70 weeks, the people are cut off from the holy city, to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness." Okay? And it says, and to, what does that say? Seal up the vision and the prophecy, and to anoint the Holy of Holies. So my question to people was this: who do we know of that finishes transgressions, makes an end of sins, and makes reconciliation for iniquity, and that brings in everlasting righteousness? That would be Yahushua, who people refer to as Yahushua, Jesus, the Messiah, right? And he says in verse 25, "Know therefore and understand from the going forth of the word of to rebuild and to restore Jerusalem until the Messiah, the Prince, is 7 weeks." Okay? And it says, "And after 62 weeks, the Messiah is cut off, but nothing of the holy city is ruined, and the people of the Prince shall come therefore and conquer until the war decided with devastation, and greatness of the covenant multiplies for 1 week. In the middle of the week, the sacrifice and the oblation to cease." Remember, no more sacrifices or offerings after the Messiah. According to, he's the culmination of all offering and all ceremonial law, right? He says, "The sacrifice and the oblation is ceased, and the overspreading of abominations makes it desolate, even until the consummation is determined and poured over the desolation." We just read in, what was it? We just read in Acts 2, where they were like, nah, this is dealing with the time of Joel, so that's still around the time of the Messiah. We just read in Revelations 5, where he said the only one that was worthy to open it was the Messiah. We just read in Revelations 22, where you can't add or take away. And here we're reading in Daniel 9 that around the time of the Messiah, he's going to seal up the vision and the prophecy. So that way, if any other vision or prophecy comes outside of the scriptures, you're going to be added to, or the words taken away out of the book. So this is why, according to what we just saw in Revelations 5, the Messiah was given the ability to go look at a book. It wasn't a dream. It was an actual physical reference, a sefer. It says a book. That's there. So I'm showing people a reference of why I believe that after the Messiah, we're only supposed to be coming from the books, and to be more careful if we believe somebody is coming from the Most High. I just got one last one. I'm going to toss it back. I think it's Isaiah 29:11. Is it? Let me see. All right. Isaiah 29:11, and I'll give it back. Sorry to be long-winded, but I like driving this home. And there's other references in the Corinthian homilies as well. But Isaiah 29:11. Let me know when you get it. It says, "And the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book." It didn't say a dream. Okay? That is sealed. Remember, we just read that in Revelations 5. Which men deliver to one that has learned, saying, "Read this, I pray you." He says, "I cannot, for it is sealed." And the scepter is delivered to him that has not learned, saying, "Read this, I pray you." He says, "I have not learned." You guys see this, okay? So even if somebody claims to be learned, they're still not going to learn the what? The vision, the words of the book. Only who? We just read in Revelations 5, the Messiah in our day. So this is a foretelling prophecy. So this is how I see it. Brother Yahowyada, sorry about that for going so long, but that's why I say it's a long topic. There's a lot of other scriptures as well that could go into this. That's why people say, but why were dreams allowed? Well, it was only for a set time. But that's my spiel. Go ahead, Brother Yahowyada. Sorry for that.
It's a lot. It was some stuff to think about, but I wouldn't word it the way you worded it at the end, towards the end, where you said any prophecies that or vision that comes. I think you said prophecy specifically, but that comes outside of the scriptures, basically, is you'll get the plagues that come in Revelation if it comes out, something like that. You said I wouldn't word it that way because it could be something that the Most High revealed that's not in the scriptures of the Old and New Testament, but that won't make it false. So get you those plagues. I wouldn't word it that way. That was one thing I caught. But just remember, everybody, that still there can be communication from the Most High, just in different ways. He can communicate by a vision or a dream. He can communicate with you by a voice, by feelings in your heart, positive feelings and energy. It can communicate with you through people, but you just got to be able to understand and tell who's speaking from the Spirit, who's communicating with you by the Most High, and give you a message from Him. And just be on guard about the messages you get from people, and pay attention. If they don't come to pass, you might forget about it for a while, but it might be a situation where something else they say, claiming it's from God or the Spirit of God, and it don't come to pass. And hopefully you catch on that these people are not getting messages from the Most High or the Spirit, because they're not coming to pass. So that's kind of the main point. That's kind of all I. Now the other thing is, now I'm not sure about this, but it was something you said. You seem to agree with King James and some other preachers about. I don't know if you agree with all of this, that there are no more visions, appearances of angels, and
no. Sorry, my wife called me. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Now I don't know if you agree that there are no more visions and dreams from the Most High, or
yes,
no more prophecies, no more angel appearing to people. Do you agree that all those things are done away with too?
I believe if it is, it's supposed to come from the words of the book. Now, this is my disclaimer. I will say this. As far as it, somebody could do so much reading. This is what I believe. Somebody could do so much reading that they could actually have a dream based on their concerns or their worries or their fears, and they could have a dream about a flood. They could have a dream about this or a fire. But even so, that still comes from the words of the book. So that's something different. That's understandable. But if somebody now, like I said before, if I say to you, Brother Mike, Brother Yahowyada, if I say, "Hey man, I had a dream the other day," and I'm just talking to you as an individual, and I think this is what the Most High is saying, is one thing. But if I stand firm, like you said, some preachers do, some religious people do, understand the difference, fam. People that are part of a big institution, sitting on street corners or whatever, and they're saying, "Thus says the Most High," and they're standing adamantly in their belief. And what they say, like he said, doesn't come to pass. And what does it say about somebody that prophesies false? It says it's supposed to cut them off. It's supposed to execute them. So this is how the Most High views this stuff, because falsehoods and false prophecies can lead to idolatry. If you're not listening to the Most High, who you listen to. So as far as that is concerned, I believe that if we do have a vision or a dream, I would say make sure it's supported by the scriptures. You know, like one time I had a dream that had Psalms 83. And I went to Psalms 83. Now I couldn't tell if it's because of how much we read through Psalms, you know, over the years, but it talks about a conspiracy is made in Psalms 83. I think it was like verse 1. So my dream, I was, you know, whatever it is, I'm looking, and sure enough, I see a book open, okay, and I see a scripture. And I'm like, okay, that's a little more safer because it has a scripture in it. If you guys understand my basis, this is just my basis. I'm telling you guys me. You know, Psalms 83, you hear him say there's like a conspiracy, something like that, you know, to wipe off the seed of Israel from off the face of the planet. And I think he may even go into naming certain groups. In Psalms 83, it says, O Elohim, who shall be compared to thee? Be not silent, neither hold still. I'm reading from the Septuagint. For behold, thine enemies have made a noise. They that hate thee have lifted up the head. Against thy people they have crafty, imagined a device, and have taken counsel against thy saints. They have said, come and let us utterly destroy them from out of the nation, and let the name of Israel be remembered no more at all. For they have taken counsel together with one consent. They have made a confederacy against thee, even the tents of, now he names off the groups, Idumea, Ishmael, Moab, the Hagarenes, Gebal, Ammon, Amalek, Philistines also with them that dwell at Tyre, yea, also Ashur is come with them. They have become a help to the children of Lot, and it says pause. Now, I had a dream of Psalms 83. I wasn't necessarily reading actual scripts, but I was looking at that and like, well, maybe that's from the Most High, but it's a reference though. So I would tell people, make sure it's supported by a second and third witness, to make sure it's grounded by some form of law and prophecy, just like the Messiah did, Peter and James. That's my spiel. Do we have dreams and visions today? I don't think so, unless it's supported by scriptures. That's how I look at it. And I would say, how else would we be able to validate it? What would be the second or third reference? So that's just my personal view. People don't have to agree. It's just how I've learned to differentiate between what's law and prophets, what's my own concerns, my own mind, and you name it. But I do agree with you about the heart, though. I do agree that he can speak to our heart and convict us of certain things from within. I'm not sure about it being a voice, though. So like I said, everybody's is different. I mean, what it leads people to do. So I'm just going off of, I have to support it by second and third witness. So you want to go to demonology, right, Sam?
Yeah.
Let's go to demonology.
Yeah, I want to get something in here
because
I think this can finalize our false prophet topic. Unless something else props up, you know, we didn't get everything about dreams. It's a very huge topic, but I'm glad we did get a lot of it or some. And so here's something else you reminded me of demonology in King James. I ended up looking through the book again, and I actually found this, and I forgot to read it. So this is in demonology of King James. I just pulled up the PDF live. Everybody probably saw it, but I was trying to find it because I didn't have it. This is a Chromebook I'm using, and I don't have hardly anything on this. So if you actually got a book of it, it's going to be on page 65. At least in mine, it's on page 65. And I'm going to just read probably the whole chapter. It's chapter 4 in book 3. So I'm going to try to find it on the screen and just read it from the screen. But I got to find out where exactly I am on the screen. So don't know. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, it says chapter 3. Okay. Is that chapter 4? Okay, I think this is it right here. Let me verify it. Chapter 4 says the description of, yep, that's it. Okay, so let me know when you're ready, Doug.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, cool.
I see it. It says the same thing. It says follow Matthews.
Yep. Okay. Now, if you got a book, it's going to abbreviate it. It's not going to have its whole name, unless you got a certain book that I don't have and they don't abbreviate the names, like Philomathes. And okay, so down here it does abbreviate it, E-Pi. So I guess when you come on down, it does abbreviate it. But okay, so let me go back up. So this heading says, dang, I went down that far? I couldn't have went down that far, did I? Nah, I think I went up too far. Okay, there it is. Okay, can I make this bigger? Okay. So it says the description of the demonics and possessed, by what reason the papists may have power to cure them. Now, the papist, if you look up this word, it's a synonym for bishop. And I take a bishop to be like a head of a church or assembly or like a preacher. But just keep that in mind whenever you see the word papist. Okay. Because it was saying by what reason the papist or bishop may have power to cure them, the people that's possessed and stuff, right? So let's keep going. So it goes on to say, it says, I'm going to just say 5 for short when it says Philomathes. It says 5. Well, I have told you now all my doubts, and you have satisfied me therein. Just so people know, 5 was a skeptic to a degree about certain things. But he says, well, I have told you now all my doubts, and you have satisfied me therein. Concerning the first of these two kinds of spirits that you have conjoined, now I am to inquire only, well, onely, my bad. Maybe that's a typo, but it says onely by the spelling, 2 things at you concerning the last kind. I mean, this is old English by the way it's spelled, but it says, I mean, the demonics. The first is, whereby shall these possessed folk be discerned? FRA. Do they mean from? Is this? It says fra, but it says discerned fra them. I guess from, because that's weird. Okay, then it says from them that are. Wow, this is really, really old English. They didn't even spell R properly, or either these are typos. But it says, let me go back a little bit because this is written crazy. It says, the first is, whereby shall these possessed folks be discerned from them that are troubled with the natural frenzy or mania. The next is, how can it be that they can be remedied by the Papist Church, whom we counting as heretics? It should, let me scroll down. It should appear that one devil should not cast out another, for then would his kingdom be divided in itself, as Christ said. Epi. This is the other person speaking. So it says, as to your first question, there are diverse symptoms whereby that heavy trouble may be discerned from a natural sickness. And y'all bear with me while I try to read these old English words the way they spelled it. So it says, whereby that heavy trouble may be discerned from a natural sickness and specialty 3 or specialty 3. I might have to read this from my book because this is written crazy. But it says, you know what? I'm gonna read it from the book because on here it's a little complicated. So y'all can look at the screen, but I'm gonna be reading from the book. It's a little bit easier in this book. So let me see where was I at. I'm gonna just start over at EPI. As to your first question, there are diverse symptoms whereby that heavy trouble may be discerned from a natural sickness, and especially 3, omitting the diverse vain signs that the papists attribute to it, such as the raging at holy water, their fleeing aback from the cross, their not abiding the hearing of God named, and innumerable such like vain things that were alike numerous and feckless to recite. But to come to these 3 symptoms, then, whereof I spake, I account the one of them to be the incredible strength of the possessed creature, which will far, I gotta turn the page, exceed the strength of the 6 of the strongest and rulest of any other men that are not so troubled. So this right here made me think about certain drugs that people take in our modern days, like Flocka, where it's explained that people who have been on it can take like 9 or tasers, shots or whatever, and they still stand, or it just takes a lot for them to go down. Or people who have been shot a multiple amount of times and they still are not falling down. Stuff like that. Now, that might not be accurate, but that's just what it reminds me of. So let's keep going. And then it goes on to say, the next is the firming up so far of the patient's breast and belly with such an unnatural stirring and vehement agitation within them, and such an iron-like hardness of his sinews so stiffly bent out that it were not possible to prick out as it were the skin of any other person, so far mightily works of the devil in all the members and senses of his body. Now I'm trying to keep up on the screen too, so let me scroll down too. Okay, and then it says, he being locally within the same suppose of his soul and affections thereof, he has no more power than any. My bad. I think I read it wrong. He has no more power than of any other man's. That last is the speaking of sundry languages, which the patient is known by them that were acquainted with him never to have learned, and that with an uncouth and hollow voice, and all the time of his speaking, a greater motion being in his breast than in his mouth. But from the last symptom is accepted such as are altogether in the time of their possessing bereaved of all their senses, being possessed with a dumb and blind spirit, whereof Christ relieved one in the 12th chapter of Matthew. And then it says, and as to your next demand, it is first to be doubted if the papists or any not professing the only true religion, keep that in mind, true religion. People got to be educated on what religion even means, but let's keep going. So it says, if the papists or any not professing the only true religion can relieve any of that trouble, and next, in case they can, then it says, upon what respects it is possible to them. And then it says, as the former, upon two reasons, it is grounded. First, that it is known of many of them to be counterfeit. And I don't know if you can see this on the screen. Yeah, I got to scroll down though, but keep this in mind. This is what we see a lot of in modern day counterfeit healings, so-called miracles. But let's keep this on, keep this going. So it says, let me catch up in the book. There it is, counterfeit. So it says, many of them to be counterfeit, which while the clergy invent the confirming of their rotten religion. The next is that by experience we find that few. Oh goodness, my phone tripping. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where was I at? That by few. Hold on, let me find my spot. Clergy invents the confirming of their rotten religion. The next is that by experience we find that few who are possessed indeed are fully cured by them, but rather the devil is content to release the bodily hurting of them for a short space. And then it says, thereby to obtain the perpetual hurt of the souls of so many, that by these false miracles may be induced or confirmed in the profession of the erroneous, of that erroneous religion, even as I told you before that he does in the false cures. Now, let me, I'm trying to make sure I'm caught up on this PDF too.
Mm-hmm.
Erroneous religion, even as I told you before, the false cures. Let me scroll down so everybody. Okay, so even there's a false cures or casting out of diseases by witches. Now keep that in mind because witches can appear in assemblies or churches that we know of today. So that's something I forgot about, but that is possible. Now let's keep going. And then it goes on to say, as to other part of the argument, in case they can, which rather with reverence of the learned thinking otherwise, I am induced to believe by reason of the faithful report that men found of religion have made according to their fight thereof. I think if so be, I say these things, I say these may be the respects whereupon the papists may have that power. Christ gave a commission and power to his disciples to cast out devils, which they according thereunto put in execution. The rules he bade them observe in that action was fasting and prayer. The action itself is to be done in his name. This power of theirs proceeded not then of any virtue in them, but only in him who directed them, as was clearly proved by Judah by his having as great power in that commission as any of the rest. It is easy then to to understand that the casting out of devils. Let me make sure everybody can see that on the screen. Let me scroll down real quick. Okay, it says, I'm gonna read this again. It says, it is easy then to be understood that the casting out of devils is by the virtue of fasting and prayer, and in calling of the name of God. Suppose many imperfections be in the person that is the instrument, as Christ himself teaches us of the power that false prophets shall have to cast out devils. Pause. Now, just to get some understanding on this, this is how I thought about it and understood it. It's talking about people who learn to cast out devils by using the form or the teaching that Christ gives in the New Testament. Like he was explaining, Christ gave powers to his apostles to cast out demons. Not that they themselves had any power, but they did it through fasting and prayer, and by using the name of the Son of God. And it's saying here that people can do this. The King James is saying, if this is true, if this is like possible, he said that if they do it this way. And it's also showing that the scriptures, provides the support for it. Now let's keep going. So let's just keep in mind it's modern day churches and assemblies where people are so-called casting out demons. Sometimes it's counterfeit, sometimes it's false miracles
Right.
being done,
Right.
just set up by people or through some evil spirits behind it, or even the devil or evil spirits helping them, only
Right.
temporarily to relieve a person of an evil spirit to come back in the future to haunt them even worse. And it's not even going to be good in the end. But it's talking about that. So just imagine these churches that do stuff like that, right? Now let's keep going. So it says, let's see, where did I leave off at? As Christ himself teaches us of the power that false prophets shall have to cast out devils. And this reminds me of the scripture in Matthew 7, 21 through 23, if I'm not mistaken, where it talks about how Christ shall say in that day, uh, well, he says, many shall say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have I not cast out, a lot of devils in your name? And he shall say to them, get away from me, I never knew you. If that's the one I'm thinking about,
Right.
then I'm talking about, just to get it real quick, it says, not everyone that saith to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that do the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name? And in your name have cast out devils? And in your name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that work iniquity. So that is what I thought of when I read this. And let's keep going. So then it goes on to say, um, well, I'm gonna just read from this and keep going. It says, as Christ himself teaches us, out of the power that false prophets shall have to cast out devils, it is no wonder then these respects of this action being, oh, I'm not even on the stream, so y'all can see. My bad, my bad. It is no wonder then these respects of this action being considered that it may be possible to the papists, remember bishops, though erring in sundry points of religion, to accomplish this if they use the right form prescribed by Christ herein. For what the worse is that action that they err in other things more than their baptism is the worse that they err in the other sacrament and have created many vain attachments to the baptism itself. And it goes into some more stuff. Now, I might as well finish it. It's only a little bit left. So let me come down to what Phi said. Phi says, surely it is no little wonder that God should permit the bodies of any of the faithful to be so dishonored as to be a dwelling place to that unclean spirit. E Pi. There is it, which I told right now would prove and strengthen my argument of the devils entering. Oh, this sounds like something else, but I'll just finish it. Entering the dead bodies of the faithful, excuse me, for if he is permitted to enter in their living bodies even while they are joined with the soul. How much more will God permit him to enter in their dead carcasses, if I said it right, um, which is no more man, but the filthy and corruptible case, that something like that, of man. For as Christ saith, it is not anything that enters within man that defiles him, but only that which proceeds and comes out of him. So that's the whole chapter. I don't know if I needed that last part, but the parts before this last two sentences was about false prophets, how
Right.
they can work through assemblies and use the evil spirits to do false miracles and healings. And even if they know the form of casting out demons by Christ, in the New Testament, they can use it. And it's just something to watch out for. Like, be careful, because witches can be in churches. And if they can be in churches, why not sorcerers and necromancers and diviners? They can be
Mm-hmm.
in churches too, and they can be doing some wicked things. And I just don't consider this a lot. So just be careful.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Now, how much of demonology have you read?
I have read the whole thing twice. I read it
It's pretty
twice.
good, man. It's pretty good. Um, I know to some of your watchers, but some people on my feed may not know what demonology is. Now, you and I know there's like a falsehood going out about this book. There's like this big controversy. Oh, it's demonology. Oh, he wrote it. It's about, how to work, you guys. It's about dealing with witchcraft, sorcery, how to deal with devils, demons, how to put them under, whatchamacallit, power, how to have power over them. And remember, he had to do a lot of executing of witches and necromancy and stuff like that. So for people, I tell people, you guys, there's so many falsehoods on Facebook. Please study stuff yourself. Like remember recently they tried to say Joe Biden had a Codex Gigas, which has a picture of Satan on it, whatever it is. That is what he was signing, swearing on. Come to find out, the Codex Gigas is like 3 feet long. There's all kinds of falsehoods running around on Facebook. I encourage people to study the stuff for yourself before you take a this or that approach. Make sure that it's fully enveloped by study, because there's so many things that people throw out there that isn't 100% accurate. Demonology is a good book. I read some of it as well, and this is a lot of what was going on in England and Scotland: witches, necromancy, idolatry, things like that, devils, demons. And so people look at it first before you judge it. I think it's worth it for people to study this to determine the authenticity of it. There is some references also of what you just stated in the Clementine homilies. I want to go into it when you get a chance. When you're done with that page, I want to show people that what you just read is also chronicled and paralleled as a secondary source and witness in the Clementine homilies. What you said about, what'd you say? You said you just read in, let me see, you just read on the page, you said,
I was in book 3.
it is easy to be understood that the casting out of devils is by the virtue of fasting and prayer, and in calling of the name of God, supposed many imperfections being the person that is the instrument, as the Messiah himself teaches us of the power that false prophets all have to cast out. It says Saul. Now, I don't know what that Saul means. Where does that say Saul? Right here on it's on page 72. It says that false prophets Saul have, or shall, maybe that means shall, have to cast out devils. So it is no wonder then, these respect of this action being considered, that it may be possible to the Papists, and I think Papists are referred to as like elders of the church, right? Through erring in sundry points of religion to accomplish this, if they use the right form prescribed by the Messiah therein. But what the worst is that action, that they err in other things more than in their baptism is the worst, that they err in the other sacraments and have helped many vain frets to the baptism itself. So I agree with that. You see, because remember, like you said, pastors and preachers could cast them out too. So that doesn't make somebody the Most High. So that makes it a little more distinct now for people to determine, you see, is this really the Most High? So I agree with that. But in the Clementine homilies, Peter talks about the same thing. And so it kind of parallels it. Demonology. What does that say? What does that say in okay. What does that say in demonology?
Where?
What does that say? I didn't catch that.
I was going to share with them because you were saying that it's a controversy of the book and they talk about it, but when they was talking about this book in a negative way in King James and the Bible, I looked up this word demonology because I thought it was bad. I'm like, demonology, it sounds bad, but when you look up the definition of it, it says the study of demons or demonic belief. That's it. It was nothing bad. It's just that you informed on demons and the demonic belief. That's it. So it wasn't bad. And then I compared it with the scripture in Corinthians where it talks about how you're supposed to be. It says beware of the devil's inventions or his, like beware of his schemes or something like that. And even the scriptures tries to warn us to beware of that stuff. So I'm like, that's on point to me.
I agree with that, and that's on point. And I think people got to know to learn how to do this study for themselves instead of just listen to everybody. There's so much stuff running on Facebook. People just run with something. You gotta validate it first. You gotta make sure it's accurate what people are saying about something first. You'll find out a lot of things people are throwing out there not 100% accurate. And you realize, wait a minute, this was actually a good book.
That's
what are they talking about?
Yeah, that's what they, and you know what? I'm gonna just say this and give it back to you so you can read the Clementine. But
go ahead.
This is the last little bit, and this is the actual scripture, 2 Corinthians. I knew it was in here, but I thought it was 1 Corinthians. But it says, in order that Satan might not outwit us, for we are not unaware of his schemes. Some say so that Satan will not outsmart us. Some say so that we would not be outwitted by Satan. The KJV says a little different. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And when I read this for the first time, or in the beginning, or early days, I was like, well, how can we know his schemes or devices if we don't learn of them? And I started to want to learn of them, and I did, but I didn't go and become a witch or a sorcerer. You don't have to go that deep. I'm not telling you to go that deep, but just know and learn what he will do and how he can do it and who he will use, what he will use. Because he will use people, he will use a lot of stuff to get to you. And if you read demonology, you can go even further of your understanding, because these demons and witches can appear to you as animals, and they can astral project and try to get in your apartment or house or church and assembly. Like they will try to do a lot of things, but you won't really know the depth of it if you don't read certain books. And demonology is not a book that teaches you to do witchcraft. It actually forbids it. It says it's unlawful. It's some very good info in the book, and people are learning about it because I had the idea to just read it live, let people hear it before they buy it, and they can make a decision for themselves. But go ahead, Doug. That's all I was gonna say.
No, that's good. People gotta hear it from different perspectives and to get the validated source so they can read it for themselves. I think it's healthy for people to get, like Peter says in the homilies, the forewarned or the forearmed. The more you know, the less likely we should be able to fall by different means. The more armed we are with wisdom and knowledge of how the Most High operates to determine, now that's not how he operates, guys. We got to be careful. False priests, false prophets come to us and say things. We got to make sure that it's solid and checking it with a second and third source. But yeah, I definitely agree with it, man. You all over it with that. But I want to go to Homilies 9.
And what Homily book? 9. Oh, that is the book. Book 9, right?
Yes, sir. Okay, Homily 9.
It's still loading for me.
It's all good. I want to piggyback on what you were saying about how they ought to be expelled and things like that. We go into the demon stronghold, the theory of disease, deceits of the demon, because like you were talking about, even the whatchamacallit can even the ungodly can make it look like a demon has been cast out. That's the deception, is that people will think, because he cast out a devil, somebody's righteous. No, that's actually a deception. They do that on purpose. That way they can gain your trust or gain your faith. So now you can believe in something, a work or a wonder. So you have to be careful. So Homily 9. Let me see.
Okay, what chapter?
Let's go into.
Yeah, that should be 9.
Yeah, let's go into verse 10, or chapter 10, verse 10, excuse me, chapter 10. I'm not going to go into how demons get power over men. I think I read that before last time we were on. Unless you want me to read it, I can. But I want to touch more on what you're talking about how, the devils and people got to be careful and things like that. But I want to piggyback on how fasting and prayer, as far as how demons can be expelled.
Okay.
It's 9:10, how they are to be expelled. Well, we're talking about demons. You guys, this is my reference. Clementine homilies, otherwise known as, they'll call it the Syriac Clementines, because I believe its original language was in Syriac, like Aramaic. Well, let's get it in. It reads, but the reason why the demons delight in entering into men's bodies is this: being spirits and having desires after meats and drinks and sexual pleasures, but not being able to partake of these by reason of their being spirits and wanting organs fitted for their enjoyment. They enter into the bodies of men in order that, getting organs to minister to them, they may obtain the things that they wish, whether it be meat, or by means of men's teeth, or sexual pleasure, by means of men's members. Hence, in order to the putting of demons to flight, the most useful help is abstinence, which you were talking about before in demonology, and fasting, and suffering of affliction. For if they enter into men's bodies for the sake of sharing pleasures, it is manifest they are put to flight by suffering. But inasmuch as some, being of a more malignant kind, talking about devils, remain by the body that is undergoing punishment, though they are punished with it, therefore it is needful to have recourse to Elohim by prayers, petitions, and refraining from every occasion of impurity, that the hand of Elohim may touch him for his cure, being pure and faithful. What he's saying is this: devils want a host to enter into us. If we don't give them the means to enter into us by submitting to the things they desire, they're not going to want to dwell in us. On top of, as we just read, prayers, petitions, and refraining from every occasion of impurity. So this is telling us, according to Nazarenes, oh snap, what happened?
Oh, I just, huh?
Oh, it looks like I froze.
Oh no, I can see you.
Okay, hold on. And so, like, as it talked about abstinence, fasting, suffering of affliction, we're not doing the things that devils want. So therefore, they're going to want to go and dwell with somebody who would do the things that they want them to do. That's why, we talk about idolatry. You hear the Messiah talk about fasting. Idolatry, how do you say it? Attracts devils, basically, you guys. Certain types of sins attract devils. Certain types of foods that we eat and drinks that we drink, okay, can also attract them as well. So when we do these different things, according to the flesh and from the inward, from within, we do our best to repel the dark realm, okay? So let's go to, let's see, the deceits of the demons. Is that it?
Where would that be?
Let's go to more tricks. 14, 9:14. It says more tricks. So this is what we're talking about as far as dreams and things like that. And it reads, therefore, shunning and hating us, talking about the devils, they are deceived, not knowing how it happens that they devise things opposed to their health. And also in reference to those who are under the authority of the devils. They don't want to listen to somebody who's telling somebody the truth. If you guys have ever tried to tell somebody the truth and they just don't want to hear it, this is what he's talking about. Therefore, shunning and hating us. They are deceived, not knowing how it happens that they devise things opposed to their health. For neither can we compel them against their will to incline towards health, since now we have no such power over them, nor are they able of themselves to understand the evil instigation of the demon. For they know not whence these evil instigations are suggested to them. Talking about they suggest things to people that they don't know from where they come from, okay? Then it says, and these are they whom the demons affright, appearing in such forms as they please. And sometimes they prescribe remedies for those who are diseased. And thus they receive divine honors from those who have previously been deceived. So they're saying they're the ones who make their own solution to make it look like it's really of the Most High. And thus they receive divine honors from those who have previously been deceived. And they conceal from many that they are demons, but not from us. This is talking about Peter, right, and the apostles, who know their mystery and why they do these things, changing themselves, what does that say, in dreams against those over whom they have power, and why they terrify some, and give oracular responses to others. We're talking about now this is dealing with voices, talking about oracular response, and demand sacrifices from them and command them to eat with them that they may swallow up their souls. So if we guys get that, what it is that he's saying. Let's go to the powers of the demons, 16. Let me know when you're ready. It says, but that the soul of each man embodies the form of demons after his own preconceptions, and that those who are called gods do not appear, is manifest from the fact that they do not appear to the Yahudim. But some will say, how then do they give an oracular response? Talking about, hearing a voice, right? Forecasting future things. Remember, we were talking about that before. Prediction and prophecy. This is also false. But suppose it were true. This does not prove them to be gods. For it does not follow if anything, prophesies that it is a god. For pythons prophesy, yet they are cast out by us as demons and put to flight. But some will say they work cures for some reason. This is what you're reading.
Hold on. When you say pythons, I just want them to know what that is.
All right, so where are we? It says, for pythons prophesy. I'm back in 9:16. It says powers of the demons.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And by the way, I'm just going to say this before I go in. The reason why these books are good is because Peter goes more into detail about, like in reference to demonology and things like that, what you eat, what you drink, the false gods, Egypt. He goes over every topic, astrology, astronomy, and he begins to break down every false idol of the nations around us to get us to understand what is the real, law and word of Elohim, false doctrines and teachings. This is a great book to go into. It goes more in depth and working through what a demon can do, what it can't do, the difference between a dream, the difference between prophecy, and things like that. So now he's going through the powers of the demons. Okay, he says right here, but some will say they work cures for some persons. It is false. Suppose it were true. There is no proof of Godhead, for physicians also heal many, yet are not gods. But says one, physicians do not completely heal those of whom they take charge, but these heal oracularly, talking about by a voice. But the demons know the remedies that are suited to each disease. That's a marker. Wherefore, being skillful physicians and able to cure those diseases which can be cured by men, and also being prophets and knowing when each disease is healed itself, they so arrange their remedies that they may gain the credit of producing the cure. Next, chapter 17, reasons why the deceits are not detected. And it reads, for why do they oracularly foretell cures after a long time? And why, if they are almighty, do they not effect cures without administering any medicine? And for what reason do they prescribe remedies to some of those who pray to them, while to some, and it may be more suitable cases, they give no response? Thus, whenever a cure is going to take place spontaneously, they promise in order that they may get the credit of the cure, and others having been sick and having prayed and having recovered spontaneously, attributed the cure to those whom they had invoked, and make offerings to them. Those, however, who after praying have failed, are not able to offer their sacrifices. But if the relatives of the dead or any of their children inquired into the losses, you would find failures to be more than the successes. But no one who has taken in by them is willing to exhibit an accusation against them through shame or fear. But on the other hand, they conceal the crimes which they believe them to be guilty of. Next, props of the system, why this is good. Okay, this is the last one. And how many also falsify the responses given and the cures effected by them, and confirm them with an oath. And how many give themselves up to them for hire, undertaking falsely to suffer certain things, and thus proclaiming their suffering and being restored by remedial means. They say that they oracularly promise them healing, in order that they may assign as the cause the senseless worship. And how many of these things were formerly done by magical art, in the way of interpreting dreams and divining. Yet in course of time, these things have disappeared. That's why I say I don't believe we're getting these anymore, but people can disagree. And how many are there now who, wishing to obtain such things, make use of charms? However, though a thing be a prophetical or healing, it is not divine. So what do you got? What do you think about that? What do you guys think about that? Those of you guys that are listening, any opinions about that? I think it's a good book, you guys. Demonology, Clementine Homilies, Nazarene Acts of the Apostles. It kind of goes more into detail to understanding the dark realm and how to not fall by, like you said, dreams, visions, false prophets, to be careful to know which one is which. Now, I will say this before I toss it back. All right. Now, some people will say, well, how would you know a vision or a dream or a voice isn't of the Most High? I would say if it tells you to do anything against the Most High. Now, remember I told you a couple of days ago where I said I had a dream. Excuse me, not a dream. I had I was reading my Bible years ago, like in the mid 90s. I was in my bed. I was reading it all night or something like that. And I remember I woke up and all I heard was, "What the F are you reading?" Oh, snap. Hold on. Did it again. Hold on. It did it again.
Hey, okay. Doug, we can still see you.
Okay. All right. I had to go off the screen and come on again. I just remember my face was in the book, like literally, you know, if you read on the bed, you fall asleep and like this. I woke up and within an instant, I heard in the back of my mind, like a voice, "What the F are you reading?" And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So I would tell anybody that's one way to know for certain. If a dream or a vision is telling you to do something against the word of the Most High, that's how you can know for certain right off the bat that it's not of the Most High. If it's telling you to compromise, you know, the law of the Most High, you name it, you know, or tells you to go against the word, if it tells you to steal, kill. Now, the reason why this is good to go into is because some people go through depressive episodes. Some people have been depressed. Some people are on the backside of drugs or could be intoxicated. And they can have different mindsets at different times. How do you know for certain of what it is? That's why I tell people, make sure it's supported by a second and third witness. So if you're hearing something, how are you going to know where it comes from? I would say make sure it's supported by a second or third source. To determine, is it just my head? Maybe I'm just concerned. Maybe I'm tired. Maybe I'm angry. There's a way to solidify what it is that we have, because some days it can be something different. We could, you know, feel and think something different. So there has to be some foundation or some solid source. That's just my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Giving it back, Brother Yahowyada.
Okay. Well, this is just a bonus, man. And this has just kind of been thrown out there because it's funny in a way, but it's true. I can't find the book. I might have overlooked it in this book I'm looking at, but it's a book I have somewhere in all these books. It's called The Acts of Paul and Thecla. I just cannot find it right now, but it's out there. We'll put it this way. In that book, it's pretty interesting what happens. One of the things, if I remember right, it is Thecla is a woman, by the way, just so everybody knows. And Thecla was a woman who actually went preaching, and Paul actually said, "Yeah, go ahead. I'm okay with that." Because, you know, in the scriptures, everybody bring up the fact that Paul, he's like, a woman should be silent in the assemblies or whatever and not say anything. So that they come and think that Paul is against all women preaching. But Paul said in other writing, yeah, go ahead. He wasn't against it. But anyway, also in that same book, if I'm not mistaken, this woman named Thecla, when she was preaching, she was mainly doing it for other women, and she was healing a lot of people from sicknesses and cures, right? I wish I could find it for you. I might be able to pull it up online, but it was I'm gonna try to look for it, but I can't remember what book is in. It's something in this book. But I'm just trying to explain it to you. So she was curing a lot of people, and they were physicians at the time, or, you know, modern, we call them doctors now. And they was losing business. They was not getting enough money like they was before profits was going down, because everybody was going to Thecla instead of going to the physicians, and the money, you know, started going down for them, and they started to think, well, what we gonna do? We losing business. If everybody keep going to Thecla and getting these healings for free, we ain't gonna make no money. We're gonna have to find another job, another profession. So basically, they hired these people, and they were like drunkards. Basically, they were drunks. You know, they drink all the time. They went to these drunk guys, and they hired them to go and go to Thecla and rape her, so she won't have the same virtue, or, you know, because she was a virgin. She had never had sex with a man, and he thought that if she was to be raped, she would lose a portion of whatever power she was getting to heal people. Now, anyway, so he had paid these people half the money to go do the job, and he was going to give them the rest when they completed the job. And so they went to Thekla. She lived in a cave somewhere, and it was a supernatural incident. I don't even need to tell this part of the story, but basically they never got to do that because the Most High saved her supernaturally. And anyway, the point of the story was just about the physicians and the fact that they couldn't get the same amount of income and profit from these medicines and so-called cures. And they was like, okay, well, what we gonna do? And it's similar to today. They can get like that, and they have, well, for reports of what things I've heard, they have killed people who are causing them to lose profits, or they trying to put out natural herbs and natural cures, and they want to silence people who's like that. But it just kind of reminded me of that, Doug. So I was just sharing that about that story, but I can't find the book.
Okay.
So many books in here.
You tossing it back, or you want to add it in? Go ahead.
I want to add one thing too. I can't find that book, but I might be able to pull it up. But I do want to say this: it is a book that also talks about how fasting, to go along with what we was just reading. If you, it's in the Ascending Gospel. Oh, that's something else. But anyway, the Ascending Gospel of Peace. That's the book I'm speaking about now. In that book, it does talk about how fasting and was it just fasting or prayer too? Well, at least fasting can get rid of evil spirits, just like what Doug was reading in Clementine homilies, the last few he was reading. If you starve them or use abstinence to get the demons to leave, they will flee. And in the Ascending Gospel of Peace, this was happening too. And it goes into detail about how you can do that. If you've ever heard of the Ascending Gospel of Peace, they have 4 books out there. I think the ones I'm speaking about is in book 1 and maybe book 2.
Okay.
It might be in book 3 too. I've never, I think I listened to book 4, but I don't know if I read it all in book yet in the book. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. You can go ahead, Doug.
I want to get it, man. I want to read it now. You got me wanting to read it now.
Well, we can. I mean, I just pulled up.
Is it the one where the worm comes out of it? Where the worm comes out of them or whatever it is? When they're where he takes the worms out of them, he says, see, this is Satan right here, whatever it is. Is that it? Is that the one?
I can try to do can I do a keyword search?
Try it.
I need to go to Acrobat for that.
In the meantime, I'll
do a keyword search right now. I can try to find it. Do you know where it's at by heart? Because I can go there. I got the PDF of book 1 pulled up.
Let's see. Let's try right here.
Now I know it starts talking about from pages, I think either page 8 to 18.
Yeah. That's exactly where I'm at right now. I'm on page 8. It's not even in the book yet. I don't think we've even got to book 1 yet. I think it's just let me see.
It should be.
This is before the preface. This is before the preface. The preface is on page 47. This one here is a little bit after the foreword. There's the foreword, the contents. Okay. This would be book 1. You're right. It is book 1. My bad. Book 1. It's on page 8.
Now, for me in the PDF, I'm trying to figure out where to start, because I do see he's talking about casting out by fasting, but I just don't know if this is the beginning of it, or do I need to scroll up?
It says right here on page 8. He says renew yourselves and fast. For I tell you truly that Satan and his plagues may only be cast out by fasting and prayer. It's on page 8.
Yeah, I just saw that. But if you go up, is that where it starts, or is a little bit before that also about it too? Because I was trying to.
Where it starts right here, and then it says, "God shall see it, and shall great be your reward. And fast till Beelzebub and all his evils depart from you, and all the angels of the earthly mother shall come and serve you." If that's the one, pull it up.
I'm gonna share the screen, and because I can't. I couldn't get Paul and Thinkler, but
Okay.
it's all good. Let me see. So here we go. Let me make it bigger. Okay, so it says, do you want to read it, Doug?
Yeah, I can read it. It says, renew yourselves and fast, for I tell you truly that Satan and his plagues may only be cast out by fasting and prayer. Go by yourself and fast alone, and show not your fasting to no man. The living Elohim or God shall see it, and great shall be your reward. And fast till Beelzebub and all his evils depart from you. When all the angels of our earthly mother come and serve you. For I tell you truly, except you fast, you shall never be free from the power of Satan and from all the diseases that come from Satan. Fast and pray fervently, seeking the power of the living El, or the living Elohim or God, for your healing. While you fast, eschew the sons of men and seek your earthly mother's angels, for he that seeks shall find. You want me to keep going?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Seek the fresh of the air, seek the fresh air of the forest and of the field, and there in the midst of them shall you find the angel of air. Put off your shoes and off your clothing, and suffer the angel of air to embrace all your body. Then breathe long and deeply, that the angel of air may be brought within you. I tell you truly, the angel of air shall cast out all of your body, all uncleanness which defiled it without and within. And thus shall all evil smelling and unclean things rise out of you, as the smoke of the fire curls upward and is lost in the sea of air. For I tell you truly, holy is the angel of air, who cleanses all that is unclean and makes all evil smelling things of sweet odor. No man may come before the face of Elohim, whom the angel of air lets not pass. Truly, all must be born again by air and by the truth. For your body breathes the air of the earthly mother, and your spirit breathes the truth of the heavenly Father. After the angel of the air, seek the angel of water. Put off your shoes and your clothing, and suffer the angel of water to embrace all your body. Cast yourselves wholly into his unfolding arms. And as often as you move the air with your breath, move with your body the water also. I tell you truly, the angel of water shall cast out of your body all uncleanness which defiled it without and within. And all unclean and evil-smelling things shall flow out of you, even as the uncleanness of garments washed in water flow away and are lost in the stream of the water. I tell you, this sounds like baptism in a way.
Yeah.
I tell you truly, holy is the angel of water, who cleanses all that is unclean and makes all evil-smelling things of a sweet odor. No man may come before the face of Elohim, whom the angel of water lets not pass. In very truth, all must be born again of water and of truth. For your body bathes in the river of life everlasting. For you receive your blood from our earthly mother, and the truth from our heavenly Father. Think not that it is sufficient that the angel of water embrace you outwards only. I tell you truly, the uncleanness within is greater by much than the uncleanness without. That's a marker. And he who cleanses himself without, but within remains unclean, is like the tombs that outward are painted fair, but are within full of a manner of horrible uncleanness and abominations. So I tell you truly, suffer the angel of water to baptize you also within, that you may become free from all your past sins, and that within likewise you may become as pure as the river foam sporting in the sunlight. You want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. Seek therefore a large trailing gourd, having the stalk the length of a man. Take out its inwards and fill it with water from the river, which the sun has warmed. Hang it upon the branch of a tree, and kneel upon the ground before the angel of water, and suffer the end of the stalk of the trailing gourd to enter to your hinder parts, that the water may flow through all your bowels. Afterwards, rest kneeling on the ground before the angel of water, and pray to the living El, and he will forgive you of all your past sins, and pray to the angel of water, and he will free your body from every uncleanness and disease. Then let the water run out from your body, and it may carry away from within it all the unclean and evil-smelling things of Satan. And you shall see with your eyes and smell with your nose all the abominations and uncleanness with which which defile the temple of your body, even all the sins which abode in your body, tormenting you in all manner of pains. I tell you truly, baptism with water frees you from all of these. It talks about this in the Clementine homilies also. It says, renew your baptism with water on every day of your fast, till the day when you see the water which flows out of you is as pure as the river's foam. Then betake your body to the coursing river, and there, in the arms of the angel of water, render thanks to the living Elohim that has freed you from your sins. And this holy baptizing by the angel of water is rebirth unto new life. For your eyes shall henceforth see, and your ears shall hear. Sin no more. Therefore, after your baptism, that the angel of air and of water may eternally abide in you and serve you evermore. And if afterward there remain with you aught of your past sins and uncleanness, seek the angel of sunlight. Put off your shoes and your clothing, and suffer the angel of sunlight to embrace all your body, to breathe long and deeply, that the angel of sunlight may be brought within you. And the angel of sunlight shall cast out of your body all evil smelling and unclean things, which defile it without and within. And all unclean and evil smelling things shall rise from you, even as the darkness of night fades before the brightness of the rising sun. For I tell you truly, holy is the angel of sunlight, who cleans out all uncleannesses and makes all evil smelling things of a sweet odor. None may come before the face of Elohim, who the angel of sunlight lets not pass. Truly, all must be born again of the sun and of truth. For your body basks in the sunlight of the earthly mother, and your spirit basks in the sunlight of the truth of the heavenly Father. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
The angels of air and of water and of sunlight are brethren. They were given to the Son of Man, that they might serve him, and that he might go always from one to the other. Holy likewise is their embrace. They are invisible children of the earthly mother. So do not you put asunder those whom earth and heaven have made one. Let these three brothers, angels, enfold you every day, and let them abide with you throughout all your fasting. For I tell you truly, the power of devils, all sins and uncleanness, shall depart in haste from that body, which is embraced by these three angels. As thieves flee from a deserted house at the coming of the Lord of the house, one by the door, one by the window, and the third by the roof, each where he is found, and whether he is able, even so shall flee from your bodies all devils of evils, all past sins, and all uncleanness and diseases which defile the temples of your bodies. When the earthly mother's angels enters into your body, in such wise that the lords of the temple repossess it again, then shall all evil smells depart in haste by your breath and by your skin, corrupt waters by your mouth, and by your skin, by your hinder, and your privy parts. And all these things you shall see with your eyes, and smell with your nose, and touch with your hand. And when all sins and uncleanness are gone from your body, your blood shall become as pure as our earthly mother's blood, and as the river's foam sporting in the sunlight. And your breath shall become as pure as the breath of odorous flowers, your flesh, as pure as the flesh of fruits reddening upon the leaves of trees. The light of your eyes as clear and bright as the brightness of the sun shining upon the blue sky. And now shall all the angels of the earthly mother serve you. And your breath, your blood, your flesh shall be one with the breath, the blood, and the flesh of the earthly mother, that your spirit also may become one with the spirit of your heavenly Father. For truly no one can reach the heavenly Father unless through the earthly mother. That's a marker. Even as no newborn babe can understand the teaching of his father till his mother has suckled and bathed him, nursed him, and put him to sleep, and nurtured him. While the child is yet small, his place is with his mother, and he must obey his mother. When the child is grown up, his father takes him to work at his side in the field. And the child comes back to his mother only when the hour of dinner and supper is come. And now his father teaches him that he may become skilled in the works of his father. And when the father sees that the son understands his teaching and does his work well, he gives him all his possessions, that they may belong to his beloved son, and that his son may continue his father's work. I tell you truly, happy is that son who accepts the counsel of his mother and walks therein. And 100 times more happy is that son who accepts and walks also in the counsel of his father. For it was said to you, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon this earth. But I say to you, sons of man, honor your earthly mother and keep all her laws, that your days may be long upon this earth. And honor your heavenly Father, that eternal life may be yours in the heavens. For the heavenly Father is 100 times greater than all the fathers by the seed and the blood, talking about our fleshly fathers and mothers, okay? And greater is the earthly mother than all the mothers by the body, and dearer is the Son of Man in the eyes of his heavenly Father and of his earthly mother, than are children in the eyes of their fathers by the seed and by blood, and of their mothers by the body. And more wise are the words and laws of your heavenly Father and of your earthly mother than the words and the will of all fathers by the seed and by the blood, and all the mothers by the body. And of more worth also is the inheritance of your heavenly Father and of your earthly mother. the everlasting kingdom of earthly and heavenly life, and all the inheritances of your fathers by seed and by blood, and of your brothers by the body. Huh? Okay. And your true brothers are also those who do the will of your heavenly Father and of your earthly mother, and not your brothers by blood. That's a marker. I tell you truly that your true brothers in the will of the heavenly Father and of the earthly mother will love you 1,000 times more than your brothers by blood. That's a marker. Some of us have experienced this, I'm sure. For since the days of Cain and Abel, when brothers by blood transgressed the will of Elohim, there is no true brotherhood by blood. And brothers do unto brothers as do strangers. Therefore I say unto you, love your true brothers in the will of God, or the will of Elohim, 1,000 times more than your brothers by blood. For your heavenly Father is love, your earthly mother is love, the Son of Man is love. You want me to keep going?
Yeah, I wonder when it's gonna get back into the fasting and the demons coming out.
Let me see. I'm looking at it now. Right here. Okay. Go to page 16. It says, love one another.
Okay.
It'll say, love one another, for God is love. It kind of goes back into it with this one, kind of a little bit.
I just saw that.
It says page 16.
Love one another for, oh, okay. All right, got it.
Go ahead. Get that in. Read that. I want people to hear it.
Okay.
Please. Thank you.
All right, it says, love one another, for God is love, and so shall his angels know that you walk in his paths. And then shall all the angels come before your face and serve you. And Satan with all sins, diseases, and uncleannesses shall depart from your body. Go, eschew your sins, repent yourselves, baptize yourselves. Like this. Baptize yourselves, that you may be born again and sin no more. Then Jesus rose, but all else remained sitting. For every man that felt the power of his words, and then the full moon appeared between the breaking, yes, for to get into it, the breaking clouds, and folded Jesus in its brightness, and sparks flew upward from his hair, and he stood among them in the moonlight, as though he hovered in the air. And no man moved, neither was the voice of any heard, and no man knew how long a time had passed, for time stood still. Then Jesus stretched out his hands to them and said, peace be with you. This is one of the reasons I start saying peace be with people and to the saints. But anyway, he says, peace be with you. And so he departed as a breath of wind sways the green of the trees. And for a long while yet, the company sat still, and then they woke in the silence, one man after another, like as from a long dream, but none would go, as if the words of him who had left them ever sounded in their ears. And they sat as though they listened to some wondrous music. But at last, one, as it were a little fearfully, said, how good is it to be here? Another, would that this night were everlasting. And others, would that he might be with us always. Of a truth, he is God's messenger, for he planted hope within our hearts. And no man wished to go home, saying, I go not home. We're all dark and joyless. Why should we go home where no one loves us? And they spoke on this wise, for they were almost all poor, lame, blind, maimed, beggars, homeless, despised in their wretchedness, who were only born for pity's sake, in the houses where they found a few days' refuge. Even certain who had both home and family said, we also will stay with you. For every man felt that the words of him who was gone bound the little company with threads invisible, and all felt that they were born again. They saw before them a shining world, even when the moon was hidden in the clouds, and in the hearts of all blossomed wondrous flowers of wondrous beauty, the flowers of joy. And when the bright sunbeams appeared over the earth's rim, they all felt that it was the sun of the coming kingdom of God. When and with joyful countenances, they went forth to meet God's angels. And many unclean and sick followed Jesus' words, excuse me, and sought the banks of the murmuring streams. They put off their shoes and their clothing, they fasted, and they and the earthly mothers angels raised them, possessing their bodies both inwards and outwards. And all of them saw all evils, sins, and uncleannesses depart in haste from them. And the breath of some became as stinking as that which is loosed from the bowels, and some had an issue of spittle, and evil smelling and unclean vomit rose from their inward parts. All these uncleannesses flowed by their mouths, and some I'm sorry, everybody. I don't know what happened. I was just reading it. I didn't even know an issue occurred. I don't know how long I have been out of this stream. Sorry. I guess Yahoo got I guess kicked out, or I don't know what happened. I have to look back at this video. Let's see. Dang, that's I was just reading away. Let me try to find them real quick. But that was good, y'all. I mean, I don't know if y'all got to hear everything because I was still reading, but I got kicked out of the room somehow. So, but maybe we can do more videos in the future, and start doing videos like this where we share the screen and you can see everything instead of us trying to show you the book. But however, it's better to do it easy. We'll try to do that. Most High willing. I think this will be something I'll try to use more because I have been thinking to use this for a while. This platform, this website. Whew. But that was from the Essene Gospel of Peace, Book 1. I'm trying to see if I can get Yahoo back in here. I don't know what happened. It didn't even notify me something happened. That was crazy. I just told him I got disconnected and invited him back. But I mean, to those of you who've seen this live and heard everything, y'all can let me know how this was. I see at 5:53, Yahoo said, "What happened?" I don't know. I was just reading. I don't know what happened, man. I was looking at the screen and just reading. I don't know what happened. Yahoo. I was just reading from the screen, and I wasn't looking like when you're reading from the screen, you can't see the what is it the StreamYard page. So I don't know what happened. I just came back, and all of a sudden, when I finished reading it, it was like that. Nobody was in the live. It was just blank. I'm like, dang, I'm not even in here anymore. What happened? Deborah Miller. Matter of fact, I guess I can look at a lot of these comments now. Rhonda says, "What's going on? Did it end? No audio, no video." Can they hear me now? By the way, yeah, they can hear me now. Okay. Let's see. Deborah Miller said at 5:57 p.m. One more video I would like to pass on. It's on BitChute channel. Is War Castle's video is Sergeant Robert Horton. Very interesting. Bless you. All right. Let's see. Yahoo replied back to me. It's the same. The same one. So he might come back in so we can finalize the video. But dang, I didn't know that happened, y'all. Well, we did go for 3 hours though, so that was pretty good. That we wouldn't. I don't think we was expecting to go this long. But last time we did a live together, me and Jeremiah Yahoo, it did last the same amount of time, but he only planned for it to go like an hour and a half or 2 hours, but we went over. We went over that day, and we did it again. Um, he's saying that something's going wrong on his end. He's having some issues, so he said give him a minute. Um, I guess we just had some technical difficulties. But what did y'all think of the Essene Gospel of Peace from what we did get to read? You know, in book one, it did connect with some of the stuff we was reading about. I'm gonna try to read some of y'all comments around that time because it's a lot of stuff in here. Let's see. Oh, it ain't that much. Let's see. Bad audio at one point was said something is happening with the hearing. That was about an hour ago. And then the audio was good now, but it seems when you was searching, it messed with the audio. Oh, okay. Um, this is our first time using StreamYard too, just so everybody know. We was normally doing it through Facebook, and I was wanting to try it this way because there's different features we can use using StreamYard and Facebook and YouTube. YouTube, you can only have one person in the video. You can't have two people or three or four. But on this you can, so that was different. How do I get back to the chat? I'm still learning how to use it. So let's see. Follower, the Lord. This is a comment. Oh, that's about what we was talking about earlier. Let me skip down. I'm just checking out some of these comments. Awesome Shabbat teachings, brothers. Hassan, if I said it right, Bunal says the speaking of tongues is also maybe the power of speaking other languages, but that person might not have been able to speak before it was given to a person. I don't know for sure. I was just thinking, okay. Some of this stuff I didn't read at the time it was said. Bunal also says, can you put all these books in a link or the description? Okay, yeah, I can do that. I can try to put everything that we read in the description. Yeah, I can try to do that. I'm going to try to do it though after the video. It won't be right away because sometimes it takes me like at least within 24 hours to do all that. So within 24 hours, I'll try to do it, but it won't be like right away because once the video loads, I'll try to get it on that ASAP. Let's see. Okay, I'm just reading some of these comments. Okay, so I'm all caught up pretty much. Well, I think we got pretty much everything except some stuff about dreams, where I was saying what that message was about. I thought that was a brother D, the one who was in here with us. I thought that was him, but the only thing that we didn't get in here was, well, I ain't gonna say the only thing. It was some stuff in the Old Testament about dreamers and dreams, where it did relate to false prophets and things like that, but we didn't get any of that in this video. It is a big topic, false prophets. A lot of it comes from, okay, I see Jeremiah 14 and Lamentations. So this is Jeremiah. These are just bonuses, this is Jeremiah 14:14. Let me share the screen. It says stop cam. This is going to be fun to use, y'all, by the way, because when I normally do videos, I have been going live without, this right here. So this is my first time using it. So, well, at least using it, going live on YouTube at the same time. So this makes it more interesting, and we can have some fun with this. I put it that way. So this is what it says in Jeremiah 14:14. Then the Lord said to me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I sent them not, neither have I commanded them, speak, uh, neither spake to them. They prophesy to you a false vision and divination, and a thing of nothing, and the deceit of their heart. And if you read the context, there's more to it. And then we got Lamentations 2:14. Let's see what they say. Your prophets have seen vain and foolish things for you. And just make sure I read it right. And they have not discovered your iniquity to turn away your captivity, but have seen for you false burdens and causes of banishment. Okay. So I just wanted to get that. It's more stuff in the Old Testament and Bible period about false prophets, but that was some of the stuff that we covered. I mean, well, that was just, some of the stuff I pulled up just now. I'm gonna get out of here though, y'all. I'm gonna let this video in and upload, and I'll try to get, as I said, all these links that we use for the other books. Because his question, what he say? He said, "Can you put all these books? Yeah, I'll get all the books and that we use, the Clementine homilies, the Essene Gospel of Peace, and put them in the description of this video, so you all can get it, check it out, read it for free." Everything is free, as long as you got Wi-Fi and the internet or can access it, everything is free. You can actually buy these books though, but I'll put that in the description of the video. Thank y'all for joining us and leaving comments and connecting with us and all that good stuff. Peace be to the saints, though. I'm out of here. That was a new experience for me. Glad I did it. Overall, in broadcast. I'm still learning it.